Good evening, everyone. My name is Laney Shaughnessy, and I'm your host for this evening. I hope everybody's doing well. If you're new to Spindle TV, thanks for joining me. My name is Laney, and I'm going to be your host for the evening. For those of you that are here every week listening to me ramble and rumble, how are y'all doing tonight? Thanks for coming and joining me on a Thursday night. We pushed it back from Tuesday to give the lovebirds of Valentine's Day a chance to spend time with their loved ones, and or their pets or their children or whoever they had in their life. I spent a lovely evening alone, but all in all, it was a good Valentine's Day. But I hope you had a great Valentine's Day, and we're going to have a little fun tonight, or relax a little bit and not get so serious, not get so deep with projects and stuff. We're going to create a nice little game box for Euchre. If you're not familiar with Euchre, the card game, I believe it's originated up north. I don't think it's a southern thing, but I used to play in Euchre tournaments down here. Love it. But we're going to make a Euchre board, or an actual Euchre box with a scorekeeping board on the lid, the decorative lid, but a nice box that can kind of hold the cards and pegs and stuff inside. And we're going to also work on a cribbage board, a nice cribbage board with some real decorative design and stuff to it. So we're just going to have fun. We're going to make those two projects tonight and lay them out and see what we come up with. Now, right out of the gate, my YouTube is warning me that they're not receiving video fast enough, so there might be buffering. And I don't know what to do about that, ladies and gentlemen. So well, let me see if I can figure something out. Let's see if I can figure something out. Give me just a second. Let me see if I can come up with a plan. Hmm. 2 seconds, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see what we can do here. You might experience a black screen for just a moment. I'm going to turn off the stream and turn it back on. I will be right back. Sorry about that. No audio. There was no audio. I wasn't talking. Sorry. We're back. All right. So we should be able to hear me now here in just a second. We should have audio. Testing 1 2 3. It's been a week, right? It's been one of those weeks. But Ronnie, I'm hoping to have the files completed by this weekend, in the video this weekend. I want to do some prototyping and stuff, but I'm not going to release the files. There's some stipulations that people have to follow in order to use this wasteboard, or else they'll crash their unit. And so I got to make sure that all the details are right before I release it. So I'm hoping to have it all done by this weekend. All right. So thanks, Michael. Thank everybody. Sorry about the audio. When I reset just a minute ago, I forgot to turn the microphone back on. Now, I do not know how well things are going to occur with YouTube tonight, because it seems like there's a lot of buffering happening. I don't know why, but if it gets bad, we'll interrupt tonight's class for just a minute for me to restart everything, and hopefully that'll clear up the some things. I don't know, but bear with me just a second. All right, let's get over to my computer screen, everybody. And listen, if we have buffering difficulties, because YouTube is telling me that it's not receiving enough video to maintain a smooth stream, which I am racking out speed tonight. I don't know what the deal is, but let me see if I can turn up my stream settings here. Bear with me a second. No, I'm going to leave it alone. We'll see if YouTube keeps throwing up these warnings on me. I'll see if I can receive. But it's the first time ever that my stream data going out has been like over 6 points. So YouTube just can't make up their mind. Okay. Let's get into it, guys, before it gets too late in the evening. We're already 20 minutes in. We haven't done anything. We're not 20 minutes in. We're 5 minutes in. We haven't done anything. So let's get over to, I believe I'm on camera 2. Let's pull me down in the bottom left. Down here. And let's go in and open up our Vectric software. Tonight I'm going to be working in Vectric VCarve Pro. Everything I'm doing tonight can be done in Desktop, Pro, and Aspire. All right, cool beans. Now, the lighting, I don't know if I can correct the black outline or shadow, but we'll see what we can do. And see if that helps. Not really. My green screen effect. All right. VCarve Pro is opening up. So let's start with the cribbage board. I think cribbage, I don't know, you guys give me some answers in the chat, but I think cribbage is kind of more popular than euchre. I don't know. I don't have a whole lot of friends around, so I don't get to play cards all that often, but I'm always helping customers with their, their cribbage boards and things like that. I was helping a customer the other day, and it got me thinking, I want to design one, and I want to show people how to design one. And kind of give them some little tips and tricks and things like that. So that's what you're going to get tonight. I will not be in Milwaukee this weekend, Big Daddy. Fish, I am not doing any of the woodworking shows. Now, an announcement, don't hold me to this now, but if the plan works out for the 2024 season, I will be teaching at the woodworking shows next year, doing a CNC workshop, a Vectric CNC workshop at the woodworking shows next year in 2024, if everything works out. So I've been invited to teach at the shows. We'll see how that goes, but I think that's what the plan's going to be for next year. But this year I did Georgia for Digital Woodcarver, but I'm not going to be at any of the other shows. Big Daddy Fish. All right. Yeah, so cribbage is a more popular game. So we're going to start off with the cribbage board. But I do want to make the Euchre box and, scoreboard and everything as well, too. We'll go from there. But we're going to start off with our cribbage board. So for this project, I am going to do a single-sided project. And the project itself, I'm going to go probably about, I believe I am going to go about 14 inches in length. 14. And I'm going to go 9 1/4 wide, like a 1x10, 9 1/4. And I'm going to go 1.5 inches thick. Want it to be somewhat beefy. And I want to, for this, I'll zero it on the material surface, and the bottom left corner is where I'm going to start. And I'm going to work with a very high resolution in the Vectric. So that's going to be my job setup. A single-sided job, 14, might go 16, but right now we'll go 14 by 9 1/4 by 1.5 inches thick. And we're going to click OK on this. Now, just so you know, I am going to, or I'm not, I am not going to be using any of the clip art games and stuff and everything, but there are cribbage boards. I'll drag them both onto the screen for a moment. That come with Vectric. There are cribbage board layouts here. You just have to size it to what you want, and create your. It's got little profiles, decorative profiles you can do and sweep around. It's got all the vectors and stuff, and that's under the clip art, the free clip art under the 2D game layouts. There's 2 cribbage boards there that you could work with, right? So there you go. All right. We're going to create from scratch, ladies and gentlemen. Now, cribbage boards come in all different shapes and sizes. There's some amazing designs out there for cribbage boards and things. There are some more popular than others, some that are more basic than others. Some have some crazy tracks that go over figure 8s and all kinds of cool stuff. I mean, you could get super elegant with these depending on, what your thoughts are and stuff. I am just going to make, for me, my family, whatever, I'm going to make just a very, not simple, there's going to have some detail and stuff to it, but I'm going to make just a very simple kind of, not really narrow oval, but kind of a wide oval shape. I kind of like that pattern and everything. So I'm going to start off with an ellipse, and I'm going to, on that ellipse, I'm going to just kind of drag it out to, a particular shape. There we go. Okay. I'm going to make sure that shape, let's stretch it just a little bit. Okay. I'm going to make sure that I am centered on the screen on my board. So I'm going to go to the alignment tool and align to center, which I am. And I'm going to narrow it down just a bit, not much. I'm just going to bring it down, bring it in just a little bit. There we go. So that's going to be my initial shape, if you will. Okay? Now, one of the things that you have to be mindful of, and one of the things that, we run into from time to time, depending on how narrow or how thin or how tight your corners are on your little tracks or paths, your holes, your peg holes, your gameplay holes and stuff, when they're following those corners and stuff, we don't want them grouped too close together that when we're drilling the holes that we're blowing them out and stuff. So we want to make sure that no matter what design we create, square, long, narrow, rectangle, round, oval, whatever, heart-shaped, I don't care, make sure that our paths, our corners are not too tight and things like that, so when the holes follow, they won't be so tight together. You're going to see what I mean here in just a minute. Now, I'm going to have a 3/4 inch, I'm going to have a 3/8 inch lip. I'm going to offset this vector inward by 3/8 of an inch, 0.375. And I'm going to have select new selected, and I'm going to bring that ellipse in. Okay? Now from here, this is going to be kind of like my outer racetrack, if you will, or my outer line from my racetrack. My racetracks are going to be, in here. I want this just to be a nice kind of a decorative, just a border. Okay? Some game boards, they go right straight into the tracks and the holes and stuff. I just want a little bit of a path. So I'm going 3/8 here. Now I'm going to go another 3/8. And I'm sorry, that was a lie. I'm going to go 1/4 of an inch. And I'm going to offset that 3 times. Too many decimal points. So I'm going to offset that inward 3 times, the selected vector, the inside vector selected. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. Okay. And then I'm going to create another vector that's going to be 3/8, 0.375, and bring that in there. Okay. This will make sense in a minute. So I have this center area is going to kind of be where my cards are going to be stored, where my pegs are going to be stored. There's going to be some decorative stuff going on there and everything. But these 3 vectors here are going to be my raceway. And then this vector is just going to be a border, an offset, an offset and everything, kind of like just a little bit of a trim, if you will. Okay. And hey, Mark Lindsay. Hey, Bob. Hey, everybody. Right? I wish I could say hi to everybody at once. Hey, Fred Grover. How you doing? And any shows in Iowa Lena coming up, I have no idea. I honestly don't. I don't think so. TheWoodworkingShows.com will show you whatever shows they have going on this year, but I don't think there's anything coming up in Iowa. Fred. So I'm not up on it. Since I'm not doing the shows that much this year, I don't know exactly what they are, but our shows that we are doing, the shows that Digital Woodcarver is going to be at, are on the Digital Woodcarver website under Contact Shows. But all the woodworking show information is thewoodworkingshows.com. Plural, thewoodworkingshows.com. All right. Now, when we are taking and creating our peg holes, I don't care if this raceway is this oval that I got here. I don't care if it's like a figure 8, if it's an S curve, whatever it is, our holes are going to be following our path and everything. Okay? And so when it's following the path, if I just, tip number 1, okay, your peg holes are 1/8 inch in diameter, right? So we're going to create a circle, 0.125. I'm going to throw it right here on the screen. So there's my circle, that little dot right there. Now, I'm going to be using a very cool tool down here in offset and layout called the Copy Along a Vector tool. Okay, copy along a vector tool. That means whatever I select first, the vector I want to copy, and the path that I select second, the path I want to copy it along, the vector I want to copy it along, it's going to copy along based on whatever parameters, the spacing between the circles, how many circles I want, all that stuff. But if I come in here and I create a path of circles, let's say I want this path of circles here to have 149 circles, and I create them around, right? If I did the same thing, if I moved this up, and by the way, you're seeing what not to do first, right? So if I move this circle up to this row, and I did that again, select this path, and copy that around, there's going to be no guarantee, depending on my shape and all, that my holes and everything line up. You know, and so far so good. They're doing well on this one. But there's no guarantee that the paths will be the same or they'll line up, because as my circles get wider and the same number of circles are getting drawn, it's going to, you know, mess up the alignment some. And depending on how tight or S curves or whatever your path is, your holes might be off. They won't be in a row or in a line. So we don't want to do them individually like this. So I'm going to hit Control Z, undo, undo. Okay. And what I want to do is I want to create my circle here. And I want to, if I double click on it, it puts it in transform mode. If I hold down my control key, I can drag a copy down, and I can drag a copy straight up. Now, if you notice, there was I don't know if you saw that dotted line shoot up when I moved that shape, that dotted line that just presented itself there. That's showing me, you know, how to keep a straight line there. It's showing me my straight path, right? So if I hold the control key again and drag this one up and snap it to there, essentially I am in a row straight up and down. Right? Well, I want to take it a little bit step further. I want to, since my shape is aligned center on my board here, I want to take these circles and I want to align them to my material left and right. Okay? I want to align them to my material left and right. And I also want to make sure, so that what that'll do is, let me grab a guideline here. That will, that's my center line on my board, and I just centered those circles back and forth, right? Well, I also want to make sure they're aligned on each other. Now, they are, but if one, I'll move one just for dramatic sake, but let's say they were off or whatever, I could also align them to one another using the align to last selection. The last circle I selected, it's what it's going to align to, kind of thing. So either way, I just aligned it because my project is centered on my material, so I just aligned those 3 circles to the center, and it's going to have them in a line with one another. The center's the center, right? But if I didn't have that option at all, I would at least want to align them to one another. Okay? One another. Good? Good. Now, back in the day, I used to draw a box around my vectors for some reason I had a box. I don't know why, to help me with aligning things and stuff like that, but I don't do that anymore. And some people, every 5, we're going to go 5 groups. We're going to be deleting a row, 5 groups, deleting a row. Where every 5 groups, some cribbage boards, people like to have a decorative line V carved in there. So what I'm going to do along with my circles, I'm also going to draw a line. Okay? So I'm going to draw a line from the top of one circle straight down to the bottom of the other. Space bar to finish. Space bar to finish, ladies and gentlemen. Space bar to finish. And I'm going to now select those 3 circles in that line, and I'm going to group them together. Group them together as one item. With me? Good, good. Yeah. Cool. Fred, I'm sorry that you're dealing with snow and all that stuff and the ice cold and all. I will not tell you what the temperature is here in Florida. or what the weather's like, because I don't want anybody mad at me. It sounds like I'm bragging, even though I'm not. But hopefully the storms aren't too bad and everybody's safe up there. And by the way, if you have questions while we're going, you know, talks amongst yourselves and all that stuff. But if you have questions, throw a question mark or so in front of the question. You can do a super chat. Super chats are ways to provide money to me. They're little donations, a few dollars here or there, pennies here or there. That's by hitting the $ under the area where you type in a chat, and it gives you these options and things. Super chats are super helpful to, you know, to support me and all that stuff, but not necessary. But if you have a question, throw a question mark. At least put a question mark in front of your question so I can identify it quickly in the chat, and I can answer that question rapidly. So we have our 3 circles in line. We have a line down the middle, top of the circle, the bottom line straight through, and we've got them grouped together now. Now, depending on how much space somebody wants between their groups of 5, you know, rows on their scoring on the gameplay and everything, we need, when it's all said and done, we need 120, I believe it's 121 circles when it's all said and done. Per row, 121 circles. Well, we're not going to just type in 121 and bring them around, because then we can't, it doesn't give us, you know, the spacing to separate our groups of 5 and all. We're going to add to that. We're going to add however much space we want, you know, for our start and finish line. We're going to have, you know, add, you know, if I were to pull out, let me show you here. If I were to pull out the clip art from Vectric, you can see what I'm referring to here. We have our spaces here, and our final rows, you know, they've got those final 3 rows here. They have kind of the finish, the winner, right? The finish line. Normally there's text right here that says start and finish or something. But every group of 5 all the way around, there's a space in between. And some people like to do a decorative line in between. That's why I have the line grouped with the circles. You'll see that in just a minute. But, so they have, you know, normally there's a start and finish, where it's kind of the, you know, start and finish. So this is your starting section and then your finish line and all that good jazz and everything. But when it's all said and done, when we delete those rows in between the groups of 5, when we get rid of those circles, we need 121 holes for gameplay. And ladies and gentlemen, please, if you are a cribbage board player, I believe I'm right on 121. I believe that's the magic number. Correct me if I'm wrong on our 21 holes. Now, that's what we need to end up with. Right? Could be 122, could be 120. I think it's 121. So, we'll count them at the end. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to add in a certain number of rows that we want to be able to delete and everything. And I have found that the magic number for what I want to delete on my start and finish line is 149. 149 copies. So when we come into our drawing tool and we select our circles, and we're going to use the center line, the circle's center line, as our path. When we come in here to copy along a vector, we're going to select our little circle group first. That's what we want to copy. We're going to hold down the shift key and select our center line last. That's our path. And I want a number of copies. I want 149 copies. Now, by the time I take out all the lines between the groups of 5, and I take out the lines for my start and finish and everything, I will end up with the exact amount of numbers of holes that I need for the cribbage game. 121. Doug Fushi retracted his message. All right, cool. So we're going to do 149. We're going to align the objects to the curve so they flow with the curve. We're going to create copies on a new layer, meaning when it creates these copies, it's going to create a new layer for them, so that's great. I can organize a little bit better and I can turn those layers on and off. Right? Right. All right. So we're going to come in and we're going to hit copy. Now, when it copies these around, it's going to actually copy them around over the original. The original is going to end up getting removed, right? So it has just created 149 copies all the way around this board. And it doesn't count the original that we used as the copy. Now that original, just so you know, didn't even have to be on the line. It could have been, oops, hold on a second. It could have been, that original, could have been down here somewhere. I could have just drawn those 3 circles and it didn't have to be on the line. I just had it on the line just so I could show you the spacing and stuff of our circles, right? But it didn't have to be anywhere near there. As long as I have them selected first, my path selected last, it would have copied it around just fine, right? So, but the original is not part of that 149. Okay? Y'all with me? Good. Give me a thumbs up every once in a while if you're happy. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. All right, now, from here, anywhere on this board, we're going to decide or determine where we want our finish line and our ending line, our start and our finish line, right? Now, what we're going to do, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, let's kind of offset. Oops, sorry. Let me put that back. Let me put that back. On my grid line here, if I, come in and snap to the center of my board and everything, I'm going to be just off center, kind of over here in this wing over here. Not wing, but this segment, if you will. That's where I'm going to have my kind of my start and finish on this. All right? Everybody with me? Hey, Doug, how you doing, buddy? All right. Thanks for joining us. So over here, I'm going to go ahead and delete one of these groups. Okay? Now, the reason why I deleted the whole group is because I'm going to have text there, right? Well, what if I wanted what if I wanted to have that made by like a starting line? I want a line there, right? Instead, I could have ungrouped, and by the way, keyboard shortcut, I'm going to be using a lot of keyboard shortcuts. I'll call them out as I use them. But ungroup, of course, is over here. It's the 5th icon in the top row of edit objects in your menu over here. But it's also the letter U on the keyboard. Ungroup for U for ungroup, and G for group. So if I have this object and I hit the letter U, it's going to ungroup them. If I hit the letter G, it's going to group them. So that's the keyboard shortcuts. I don't want to have to keep moving my mouse over here every single time I want to ungroup one of these things. I don't want to have to keep coming over here and do this. I want to hit the letter U, letter U, letter U every time I select, right? It's going to be faster for me, right? So over here, determining on where I kind of want my start and finish line, I think I'm going to go right here. I could hit the letter U to ungroup those. I could deselect, hold that shift key down and deselect the line and then hit delete. So it gets rid of the circles and it only keeps that nice divider line that my V-bit's going to cut, right? Or I could use that line to align my text to if I wanted to, or whatever the case may be. So now from there, okay, I'm going to have my kind of starting point, starting row and everything. And in the Vectric design you saw in the sample, they had 3 rows for the starting line. Some have 2 and everything. And let's pull up a cribbage board. Let's pull up a picture of a cribbage board. So bear with me just a second. Let's look at something pretty cool so you have a visual in your head, right? Cribbage board. And let's go to images. And, oh, there's so many amazing ones, right? Let's grab one that's not too amazing that's going to show me up or anything like that. But let's grab one that has somewhat of a similar shape, if you will. And let me see how big this picture is. Of course, it's a super small picture. Let me come over here And I want one with where they got all the little lines and all the decorative designs. I want a fancy one. So bear with me a second. Man, there's some pretty ones. Let me see here. Let's go exit out of that. I'm going to be a little bit more specific in my search because I wasn't too specific. I'm going to go oval cribbage board. There we go. All right. Let's go Packers. All right. I'm not a Packers fan or anything. Don't hate me for this, all right? But let's go save image as. All right. Now let's open that image up. All right. Let's zoom in. Okay. Now, they don't have any text, right? They don't have any text or anything like that. But I want you to notice that their start and finish line, right? So they have a group of 2 here, and then their finish, right? They didn't put a line in between. For some reason, their line's over here instead of over here. Could be a design thing, I don't know. But they have 2 rows on the start, but the Vectric design that you saw, if we close out of that and that, the Vectric design that you saw, if I pull that back in here, and I'll even pull in the other one on the other side, but their starting row and finish line, they have 3 instead of 2, right? So I guess it could vary. I don't know. I'm used to the 2, right? Let's see over here. This one, they've got the finish line there and the starting. They've just got these rows here where the pegs start and then they come up. So who knows, right? So we'll get rid of that. We don't want to confuse the situation. All right. Somebody's like, too late, Laney. Too late. You've already confused me. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have 2. So past my line here, I'm going to have these 2 and this group here. I'm going to hit the letter U to ungroup. Hold that shift key down and turn off that line. I'm going to hit delete. Leave my line there. Now, by the way, I don't need the 3 lines visible anymore, right? The 3 paths. So I'm going to turn them on another layer. Let's put them on another layer so we can turn them off. So select 1, 2, 3. Hold that shift key down when you're selecting more than one item. Right click and we're going to move to layer down at the very bottom here. And we're going to move to a new layer and we're going to call this our game hole paths. And I'm going to turn off the visibility. I'll change the color too. I'm going to make them red, but I'm going to turn off the visibility and click OK to hide them, right? Now, past here, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to ungroup, U for ungroup. And on this one, I'm going to delete the line and I'm going to delete the 2 outer circles. That'll be my finish line, right? And then I'm going to get rid of the U for ungroup. Hold down that shift key, turn that off, and I'm going to delete those. And I'm going to have my finish line kind of isolated, my starting point and stuff, right? Now, on all of these here, they're all eventually going to get ungrouped. And they're all eventually, all those lines are going to get removed. Okay? The lines are going to get removed and stuff. They're not going to have lines through them. So when it's all said and done, we're going to be hitting U, and we're going to select the line and hit delete. U, select the line and hit delete, right? So we'll do that as we kind of, you know, clean everything up. Y'all still with me? Everybody with me? We good? All right. So now the text, I'm going to put some text in there. So let's go to a text box here. And I'm going to have the word start. And your start line and your finish line could end up in a separate place. It just depends on the cribbage board and all that good stuff. And if you had a laser engraving, it really looks really good too on the letters and all that kind of thing. But I'm doing a V-carve. So I want a very simple font, nothing too crazy, Nothing too, small or anything like that, because it's going to be super sized down to fit in this area, right? So it's not going to just say start. It's going to say start/finish, right? With a lowercase I. So start, finish, and everything. Now, my R and my T are a little close for comfort there. So I'm going to go into the space, edit text spacing and curve tool. That's the third icon on the third row of edit objects. And I'm going to put my mouse between the R and the T here, and I'm going to hold down the shift key. That's going to, holding the shift key pushes the letters apart. And I'm going to do a single click to push that. There's a double click there. I'm going to push that T out just a little bit, just to give me a little bit of breathing room. Everything else I'm happy with. Just the R and the T, I just want to give them a little bit of room, right? If I want to bring the S closer to the T on the start, I could do that. That kind of thing. Whatever. But I'm happy with that. I think I'm good. I don't need that big of a gap between the little / and the F, so I'm moving that in, and I'll move it in on the T as well too. So I'm removing that. I'm clicking. Click, 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 click. I'm moving that space, right? I don't need a big gap there. Okay? So that's going to be my start and finish, right? Now, get out of that text curve spacing tool, and I'm going to size that down, right? Holding that shift key. Notice I'm holding that shift key. It's keeping it centered. So if I wasn't holding the shift key, it would just pull it in whatever direction I'm dragging it. And by the way, I'm grabbing it. I've double clicked on this object. I put it in transform mode. It's a double click. And I'm grabbing the corner white box to size it. But if I hold the shift key, it keeps it centered on itself as I'm sizing it. So I want to size that down. And I just snapped it to the center line here. I just snapped it to the center line. And then I'm going to hit my counterclockwise rotation, which is the number 9 key on the keyboard. And that was, I just wanted to get it around there. But now I'm going to grab the blue box and I'm going to freehand it, right? Just going to freehand it. Something that looks, well, balanced, if you will. And I'm happy with that. And since I'm going to have text there, I don't need the line there, right? So it's just going to be my start and finish, my text. Good? Everybody good? We good? Cool. All right, all right. Back there. Somebody. Cool, cool. All right. Let's close this. Fred has a question. Lenny, you're going to be available tomorrow if I get home for the laser and probe setup. Anytime tomorrow after 8 p.m. Eastern Time, PM, I'm booked the rest of the day. So anytime after 8 p.m. Eastern Time, let me verify that. It's either 8 or 8:30. Stand by 2 seconds, Fred. Let me pull up my calendar really quickly. We are going to 8:30. Anytime after 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, I'm wide open. Saturday, I'm open all day except for 3 to 4. 3 to 4, I'm booked. And then I'm open all afternoon after 4 o'clock or all morning before 3. That's Saturday. But Friday, it's got to be after 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. All right. Let's see here. Fred, I think you asked that question twice. You're going to be there tomorrow, so anytime after 8:30. Hey, Jeff in Arizona. How you doing, bud? Evening, everyone. All right. Hey, Rob. How you doing? Okay, so now the tedious part, right? So we're going to count 6 rows, and on that 6th row, we're going to delete it, or we're going to delete just the circles and keep the line if we want that decorative line dividing our groups, and that's what I want, right? So now you get to you get the tedious part of watching me delete these rows. We're going to try to do it as quickly as we can because we want to get on to bigger and better things, right? So we're going to go fun. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Select that. Hit the letter U. Hold the shift key. Click on that. Hit delete. It'll leave the line, right? All right. Next one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Click on it. Hit the letter U. Hold the shift key. Click on that line to deselect it. Delete the circles. right? We're going to rinse and repeat all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Select, hit the letter U, hold the shift key, click on the line, hit delete. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. U, shift, click, delete. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. U, shift, delete. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm not going to keep repeating U, shift, delete, but you get it. All right. So 3, 4, 5, 6. Select. Shift to hold. We're holding the shift key down. If you didn't know, we're holding the shift key down so we can click on the line to deselect the line from the selection, so that we can just hit delete and delete those selected items, the circles. So currently, right now, the circles and the lines are all grouped together. So when we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that sixth one, we are ungrouping the letter U, ungrouping the group. We're holding the shift key down to deselect the line, and then we're hitting the delete key to delete, right? And if we didn't have that line, if we didn't want that decorative line around the, if we didn't want that decorative line around, you know, in between the dividers, we didn't have to have it. We could have just had the circles, and we could have just deleted the circles between each row, right, or the whole thing. Whatever. I like the little V-bit doing a profile cut on that dividing line. It just gives it a little bit more character to the board and all that stuff. And yeah, so U is ungroup, Arvin, and G is group. That's your keyboard shortcuts. Group is G on the keyboard. U is ungroup. So once again, let's keep going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Select U, shift, click, delete. All right, we're almost halfway there. Now, keep in mind, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. After 30 gameplay holes, there's a skunk, right? So we, you know, some people draw a little graphic of a skunk. Some people put the letter S. Some people write the word skunk. Whatever. I haven't figured out what I'm going to do there, but we got to remember to come back and do that. Okay. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's basically hitting U, holding the shift key down, clicking. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. U to ungroup, shift and click to get rid of the line, or not get rid of the line, but turn off the line and hit delete on the rest of the items. All right. We are coming around the bend. She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Almost there, guys. Trying to do it as quickly as we can. Wish there was a magic way to do it, but this is the only way. You just got to put it in. Put in the work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And hey, you know, take your time, because don't accidentally do a fifth one and then like, oh man, I deleted the wrong row and I got to go back and start all over again or whatever. You know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So take your time. I've done it. Been there. Don't want to do it again. Take your time and just make your way around. We only got a few more to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Almost forgot my routine there. I was staring at it for a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, we're getting there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. U, shift, click, delete. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Almost there, almost there. We're at the home stretch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now, let's do some counting. Okay. Let's see if how my numbers are. Let's see how my math is, right? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, 100, 5, 10, 15, 20, 1, 2, 122, and then my finish line, right? How'd I do, guys and girls? So it's 122 is the magic number, I believe, but let's see here. You have a set of 6 holes. I have a set of 6 holes. You did that already, Laney. Good eye, Rob. On your left, 6 instead of 5. Bear with me. I was just talking about not doing that. There's a row with 6 holes on my left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Are you guys screwing with me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's at the bottom. So 1 right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? 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 All right. So Control Z is a best friend. We're going to go back a little bit. So Control Z. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good catch. Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Got to just make our way back around. You're like, oh my God, he had to go all the way back around. We got halfway, thank God. 1, 2, and I was just saying, count carefully. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ungroup. Delete. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Almost there. We're going to go back around again. Good catch. Whoever caught that. Good catch, Troy, I believe it was. Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. Good eye. Somebody, I mean, for y'all to be able to see that on the screen and count and catch that, that's really, really good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're getting back around there. 3. Notice on my corners, you know, I don't have a very tight corner. The whole spacing and everything on that curve. Remember, if I said that your S curve was too tight or something, your holes will get really grouped together on the curves, and then they kind of mesh together when they, you know, when you carve and stuff. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll count to myself. Somebody's like, oh my God, that's irritating, Laney. Count to yourself. I can hear it right now. They're saying it. They're saying it. Count to yourself, dude. U, shift, click, delete. U, shift, delete. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Laney. Undo. What am I doing? I deleting on 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Laney. See there? Counting to myself. I messed up my own head. 1, 2, 3, 4. Almost there. And I'll look at the comment section and see what you guys got for me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Delete. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now, on my gameplay holes, and I'm going to just really quickly, I need somebody who's, wait, somebody said something. Stop. What? Stop. What's the stop? Mike, what'd I do? No, now he has 4. Yeah, I fixed that. I went back and fixed the 4. I went back and fixed the 4. All right, now, really quickly. Okay, we should have basically kind of 60 rows, well, if we were going around twice and all, but 120 holes, right? 120 holes, not counting our start and our finish line. So he caught that fast tie. Yep. All right. So let's just see. We should have 120 holes. I keep saying 120, 122, but I'm talking, I'm counting my start and finish as well in there too and all, but we should have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Got to put my skunk in there. 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, 100, 5, 10, 15, 20. Then I have my starting peg holes and my finish line, right? Right. Everybody agree? Does everybody agree with that? Save your work. You're absolutely right. Save early, save often, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to go save as, and we're going to create a new folder here. Call this Game Night 2023. And we'll call this our cribbage board. We're about to get into the nice decorative stuff here in just 2 seconds. All right. Now, I no longer need my alignment or my aligned vectors, right? But I could put them on their own layer. Like if I needed to use them, let's say I had to start over or whatever again, and I didn't want to have to redraw them and all that stuff, I could come in and I could put them on their own layer. So I have it as a master or anything like that, but I think I'm good. So I'm safe for me. I'm going to go ahead and delete this. Now, I want you to understand what I'm going to do here. I saw this design. I worked with a customer the other day on a design like this. His name is Ken Kramer, and we were working on a cribbage. Well, I think it was Ken. The center area here had a lid. Nice decorative. The center area was all decorative and everything. But it was a lid with magnets you could take off, and there's the cards and the pegs right there, on that side and stuff. And, I'm going to do that, and it's going to require, cutting, the lid that's going to have the magnet holes and all out of a second board. Now, what I'm going to do is the inside vector here, I'm going to offset that inward just about 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to offset it inward 1/8 of an inch. 0.125, and actually 1/8 is too big. That's too much play. I'm not that sloppy. Let's go a 32nd. 0.03125. Ha! Hold on, something beeping at me every time I click. 0. Too many decimal points. Too many decimal points. My computer was beeping at me. 0.03125. 1/32, ladies and gentlemen. Offset. There we go. Now this vector here that I just drew, that's going to represent my lid. My lid. Okay? We're going to be moving that over to another board, another sheet in Vectric here in just a moment. But before I do, I have other vectors I want to copy to it. Okay? All right. So now let's figure out where our cards are going to go. Now, a deck of cards, a single deck of cards, Your cards are 3.5 inches by 2.5, and the cards are 0.27 millimeters and all that thick and all that stuff. But a deck of cards, 1.3 centimeters or 0.512 inches. On the thickness of a standard deck of cards, 54 cards in the deck, 52 plus the 2 jokers, right? So when I create the area for the cards and stuff, that rectangular shape or whatever it may be, I want to give myself some room, right? I don't want it to be just like all tied up on it and stuff. I want to give myself some room and everything. I don't need it to be very big, but also somebody in the chat, tell me, if you had a cribbage board, would you have one deck of cards or two? I don't play cribbage as much as I play euchre, and I can't recall off the top of my head, is it one deck of cards or two? I think it's just one deck of cards, right? Wrong. D. Mueller. What's wrong, D. Mueller? Let me know what's wrong. Let me know what's wrong. But let's see here. Let's go back up and let's see if I can... nice save. Triple skunk. Skunk 90. Yes, agree. But you keep counting left to right and talking about skunk. After 30 gameplay holes, isn't that a skunk? Like if somebody makes it to 30 points before the other player, isn't it a skunk or something? I don't know. Let's see here. And let's see here. With the start holes, don't you want to count clockwise, not counterclockwise? No, our gameplay. Our game is starting counterclockwise. Who is that? Rob Design. Thank you. Yeah. So we have our start hole here. We're counting counterclockwise, and then here, and I keep counting. I'm counting left to right. This should be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. The skunk should be here, right? Because I've got my 2 rows, and then I'm starting my gameplay around, and then I have one winner, chicken dinner at the end, right? Right. So, does everybody agree with that? Does everybody agree with that? Does everybody agree with Rob and me on that one? Or wrong? So, hey, thanks Roger Brown for the super chat. Appreciate that, my man. You're welcome. But Rob Brown, right? Control Z your friend. QQ, do you play Buck Euchre? Wait, hold on. Question. Do you play Buck Euchre? I've never heard of it called Buck Euchre. It's just Euchre. Teams of 2. Tournaments. We have a tournament at a local pub down here, Euchre tournament, and everything. But I've never heard the term Buck Euchre. But everybody agree with that? So we go this direction. Yeah, counterclockwise. I mean, if I could have changed things around, right, and had my finish line. I could have had my finish line here and my start line here and gone clockwise, right? But the way I drew it, the way I designed it, it's going counterclockwise. Now, is that going to screw anybody up? Do I need to change my rows real quick? It's not a big deal, but do I need to kind of do a little bit of a flip? Or is that good? We can go counterclockwise, right? That's normal. That's what we're used to seeing if we're sitting at the table. We're going to counterclockwise, right? All right. Thanks for that catch. Thanks for the catch, Rob. I appreciate that. And it was a good call. Now, did anybody answer my question? About a deck of cards? Do you use 2 decks of cards or 1? Now, One deck, okay, Troy answered one deck, but a well-used deck of cards is going to be thicker, right? Well, we're going to account for the thickness and all that stuff. We're not going to be like tight on the max and all, but one deck of cards should be good, right? All right, so I'm going to, on here, on the box, like I said, a playing card, right? An individual card has a, a size. And I'm just going to draw an individual card. Don't freak out right now. I'm going to draw an individual card. It has a size of, 2.5 by 3.5, right? A standard kind of playing card. Okay, a standard playing card and all is going to be, somewhere around on that. That's just the playing card. Now, that doesn't count the tuck box and everything, and all that stuff, the air and the space and all that. Even though they're pretty tightly in there and all that. But we're going to give ourselves a little bit of room. So we're going to open this up just a little bit in both directions. And I'm also going to give myself a little bit of a finger grab, so I can grab the cards out of there and everything. So I'm going to go ahead and it could be whatever shape you want it to be, right? And everything, but I'm going to find the center here. Let's open up that tool. Find the center here, and I'm going to give myself a little bit of a finger grab. Now, I'm going to draw a line down the middle of my card for the simple purpose of mirroring this oval shape here to the other side of this box. So I'm going to hold down the shift key and I'm going to mirror by flipping it about the line. Right? And then that's the only purpose I had that line for. Okay? Now I'm going to select these three objects here and I can just weld them together. It's simple enough to weld them together. Right? Or I could use my scissors, right? And I could just trim. Either one of the two gets me from point A to B, right? And so that's kind of like my little card area, right? So I get a little place I can stick my fingers in there, grab the deck of cards out. I've given myself a little bit of room, and in both directions. So you can go more, you can go less. I'm just going to kind of stick with this. I'm happy with this. It's going to be a deep pocket and all that. All right, cool beans. All right. And now I also want to create a place for my pegs, right? Now this place could be it could be a square shape, a round shape, I don't care what shape it is, as long as the peg fits in there. Right, and our gameplay pegs, Amazon's a great place to, get cribbage board pegs and stuff. If I go here, and you can get all kinds of funky, fun cribbage board pegs, creative and fun cribbage board pegs. And just to show you what I'm talking about, just on Amazon alone, right? They have some amazing little ticles, right? Okay, fits 1/8" holes and all that stuff, right? Cool. So they could, whatever tickles your fancy, they've got pegs. Okay, now for the purpose of this, I'm just going to go into this object here, and I'm going to kind of look at the proper size. It's a metal cribbage board pin. It has a length of approximately 2.54 centimeters. It's got a, that's a big head. 1-inch head of diameter. I don't think so, but anyway, let's see here. 6.45 inch. So here you go. 65. So 2.54 centimeters or 1 inch length. So they're giving you centimeters and they're giving metric and imperial numbers here. So it's either, 1 inch in length, right? It's going to be, a little over 1/4 inch in diameter, the head is. And then it tapers down, of course, and it's going to fit into a 1-inch hole, right? So all I care about, the only number I cared about, ooh, sorry, we have Amber Alert. child was kidnapped in Clay County. That's nowhere near me, so hopefully they find him. Okay. The 1 inch length was the only number I cared about in that whole mess, right? And I just want to make sure that my little puddle or my little hole or my little whatever you call it, that my little pegs can fit in there. So, you know, let's say that I have a peg here that is 1 inch long. The head, the wider part of the head, is going to be about 0.26 inches in diameter of that particular peg, right? So, and then we have a stack of those, right? We have a stack of them, different colors and all that. Let's say that, you know, we got, you know, I don't know. You guys tell me a number of pegs. I'm going to say 6. Sorry, guys. Sorry, guys. Phones. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. That is our national alert for Amber Alert that's going off. Okay. All right. So Fred, yes, pray for a safe return for sure. Fred says, Laney, how did you get those dimensions to stay on the design when measuring? Well, you have 2 measure tools, Fred, in your Vectric software. One is not that one, that's the rotate tool. One is in the create vectors menu, which is draw dimensions, add dimensions to a toolpath. That's like creating a blueprint. So if I'm measuring, you know, vertical from here to here, it creates kind of like a blueprint. So I can do measurements. I can do angle measurements, you know, inside and outside corners and things like that. So I can add all kind of measurements, right, to my shape. And I'm adding those dimensions like a blueprint. Now, they're treated like a bitmap image. So when you create a toolpath, they will not get carved. They're ignored. But you can add dimensions. Now, the second way to add a dimension or to take a measurement, sorry, not add a dimension, is the measurement tool. That's like having a tape measure on your hip. So when I measure, I can measure between 2 points, click, click. I can measure a certain span, line, arc, or curve, or I can measure a cross distance if it was a 3D model. So if I go 2 measurements, 2 points here, and I click from here to here, let me go straight across, then it's going to show me my length here. It's going to show me the angle that I traveled and all that stuff. Sorry, guys. It is like, I don't know if that's my phone. All right, enough. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I don't know how long it's going to go on. But when I close this measurement tool, it's like putting the tape measure back on your hip. You know, you just read the measurement, done. But if I'm adding a measurement to my drawing, it's the add dimension tool. Okay? All right, so at least 3 sets, right? So at least 3 sets of 3 is a set of 3. At least 3 sets of 3. So let's say 9 pins, right? So I got to make sure that my little cavity or whatever is big enough that 9 pins could fit in. And it could be whatever shape you want. Now, I'm not going to go with an oval shape. I think it's going to be goofy, right? I could, you know, if I wanted to, you know, I could determine, like, do I want my cards to be horizontal, vertical, you know, what's going to look more aesthetic. Now, remember, the only thing in this pocket right here is going to be just the pegs and the game cards. All the cool stuff is going to be on the lid here in just a minute. Now, I know I'm trying to hurry. Sorry, guys, that we're taking so long. But first thing I want to do is I want to... Man, that is an optical delusion right there. Give me just a second, guys and girls. Okay. Just want to make sure. All right. So I could go horizontal, vertical, whatever way I want my cards to sit in there, whatever way it's going to look more aesthetically pleasing and all that stuff, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this over to right here. I want to make sure I'm centered in this oval. Now, I want to make sure I'm centered in the oval, not necessarily the board. Why is my phone... All right, sorry. I thought I turned the volume off. I want to make sure I'm centered in the oval. I'm going to select this object first. I'm going to select the oval last, this inside oval. And I'm going to use the alignment tool, and I'm going to align up and down to that last item. Okay. So I want to make sure I'm centered in there. Now, on my other shape, I'm also going to have kind of a rectangle here. And I'm going to, it's going to be deep enough that, I want it to be wide enough and deep enough that I can have 3 stacks of 3 in there, right? So all of that good stuff. Remember, my board is 1.5 inches thick, right? So I got plenty of room. On my height, I don't want them sloppy floating around, but there's going to be a lid on this, like an axle magnetic lid and everything. And I don't want them sloppy or flopping around, but I also don't want it so tight that, they don't fit and everything. So I believe I will be good with something along that line there. And again, I want to center it up and down, but this time I'm going to use this object. So I'm selecting this first, I'm selecting this object last, and I'm going to align up and down to center it with that object. Right? Make a well for the pegs with the card pocket sitting over the well. This way the cards hold the pegs in place. Michael Murphy, you're so smart. Yeah, Michael Murphy. I like it. That's a good idea. That is a good idea. So we could do that. What Michael's suggestion is make a well for the pegs that, that are in there. And then when you put the cards in, the cards cover the pegs, keeping them in place, right? Now, just so you know, I'm going to undo that for a second. This, when my lid comes on, there's going to be a cavity on the male side of the lid to give me a little bit of clearance on the cards. But it's going to, when it comes down, it's going to come right down on top of this here, for the pegs. But I like that idea, so I'm actually going to do that. So I'm going to go back here and center that up. And I'm going to be happy with that. Now, I am going to put some magnet holes in. Now, the rare earth magnets, they come in a lot of different sizes and shapes and bundles and all that stuff. Amazon is your best friend for rare earth magnets. And also supermagnetman.com is another great place to get magnets. But magnets. Right? All right, let's go rare earth. Or they could be tritium, they could be blah, 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 whatever the case may be. They come in all kinds of different shapes and sizes and thicknesses and bundles and this and that and everything and all. And all I care about right now for me is the looking and just seeing, the small magnets here. Just kind of getting an idea of a dimension, right? The dimension of what I want to use. Now, this for $7.99 for 42 pieces. Here's 100 pieces for what have you. Let's see here. All right, so we're gonna go. That's neodymium, rare earth. All right, we're gonna go here. They should be fairly strong enough to hold the lid on. They should be fairly strong. What we got is a 6x3 millimeter small round peg. They come in different sizes and all that. And so 6 millimeters round, 3 millimeters. So about a 1/4 inch and about an 1/8 inch thick is what those magnets are, right? Roughly. If I'm not that stupid, 6 millimeters should be a 1/4 inch. 6.35, if I'm not mistaken, is a 1/4 inch. Bear with me. 6.35 millimeters. 2 inches is 1/4 inch. So 6.35 millimeters is a 1/4. And so 3 millimeters is a little under an 1/8 inch thick. So very thin rare earth magnet there. I'm good with that. I'm happy with that. So it doesn't have to be big and bulky. Just got to hold, right? Right? Do y'all agree? Okay. Now, let's close out of that. Okay. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to go with a, it's a 6 millimeter. I mean, I could be specific on that, the size and everything, for the fit. So it's like a nice fit and all that stuff. If I go, 6 millimeters and I multiply that by the letter I, and I typed in the letters in millimeters. Don't type in the mm. If I go 6 times I for the imperial conversion and I hit the equal sign, that's going to tell me that the hole is 0.23622, right? Now I don't need to get that specific and all, so 0.25 is going to be fine. I'm going to go with 0.25. Okay. And I'm going to throw it right there. It just looked like a good spot, right? And I'm going to, it is centered. Now, when I clicked it there, I have smart snapping and geometry snapping turned on. So this is my center line. That's my center line that shows up there. So snapping it there. Let's try that again on my center line. Okay. Now, if I wanted to be sure, I could align up and down on the material, right? But that's going to be good for me. Now, I'm going to mirror that over to the other side. Mirror tool. Create a mirror copy, flip about job center, flip it horizontally. Let's throw one over there too, right? Cool beans. Now, I've got everything I need for this vector, magnet hole, and this vector. I can go ahead and copy those. Oh, I got to set up a sheet first. Hold on a second. Let me set up a sheet of material first. Sheet. Add a new sheet of material. 14 by 9 1/4. I'll just keep that, same. It doesn't need to be 14 inches, but though. It can be, 10 inches and all, but I'll just leave it at 14 for now. And this is going to be my lid. All right, this is going to be my base. My main game board, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to call it base. Now, on the lid, I can go ahead and edit that if I want, and it doesn't need to be 14 inches. I will bring it down. I'll just bring it down to 11. I'll keep it at 9 1/4 for now. It doesn't. Let's go 7 1/4. 7 1/4. So like a 1 by 8, whatever. But on the thickness, I'm gonna go 3/4. Oh man, I'm gonna go 3/4. But there's gonna be a nice carving on it, so we're gonna go 3/4 thick. Now, on my main sheet, I'm going to take this vector here. Got to hurry up, Lane, if we're going to get another board in this thing. Select the 2 magnets in that hole, and I want to copy them to the lid sheet over there. Now, on that lid sheet, I'm going to center that onto the material. Align to center of the material. Okay. I'm going to do this as a 2-sided job. There's going to be a carving on the other side. When this, when this carving gets done, there's going to be a carving on the other side. So, I'm going to use some alignment holes, 1/4 inch dowels. I'm going to throw one here. And I'm going to throw one here. No rhyme or reason. They don't have to be in a line. They don't have to be perfectly diagonal. They don't have to be anything. They just need to be on the board. Right? They don't have to be asymmetrical. Or I don't know if that's the right term. They don't have to be asymmetrical. I don't know if that's the right term, but they don't have to be in alignment or anything. They just need to be there. Okay. Now, I'm going to copy those alignment holes and the border to the other side. Copy. Oh, I haven't made it a two-sided job yet. Setup. My lid sheet, hit edit. Hold on. Two-sided job, click OK. I'm going to flip, by the way, I flip along the y-axis, I always do, but that's my default setting, so I'm going to flip along the y-axis. Okay. So, on my sheet here, I'm going to take my 1/4-inch dowel pin holes for my alignment holes and the border, and I'm going to copy them to the other side, on the other side. All right, we're almost ready for toolpaths for this stuff, but let's go do the nice stuff on the other side. Let's flip this bad boy over, and on this side over here, I'm going to create a vector. I'm going to offset a vector inward. I'm going to offset inward, and I'm going to go about ½ inch, 0.5. Now, this is where I'm going to kind of do my decorativeness and all that stuff. Now, this could be a simple V-carve, raised V-carve. It could be anything that you want it to be, right? I want a kind of a low-profile, three-dimensional model to be carved on this side, okay? Now, what model, what shape, what, design I want it to be, it could be anything, right? I have one particular shape that I would like to use, and so I'm going to import that model. I'm going to go import 3D model, so you're going to get see a little bit of importing. In my downloads, okay, in my downloads, I've got various files and everything, and stuff of models and all. But the one model that I'm looking for is going to say copy of bear with me. Got to go in alphabetical order. All right, let's go up here and search. I know it's on my file that's my flash drive, but I don't want to have to go digging for my flash drive, and I don't see it right in front of me. And I know I have it here because I wanted to have it ready for class. But when you have something ready, you don't know. All right, let's see here. Okay. I'm going to go back to downloads, and I'm going to oh man alive. I'm going to ask you to be patient with me for 2 seconds. 2 seconds. I literally had it right here, specifically for this class. Give me 2 seconds. Let me grab it. had it on my other desk, ladies and gentlemen. I am back. Had it on my other desk. Not the desk that I needed. Okay. So we're going to import this file right here. It's an STL model. When we import a third-party model file into the program, the first thing we have to do is orientate that model. Okay? Yes, Fred, to answer your question, you absolutely want a two-sided, you absolutely want a wasteboard if you're doing a two-sided project, yes. I made a dowel and magnet jig to make it easier to test magnets for the manufacturing before I drill established holes, sized in Vectric. Comes in quite handy often. Man, I would love to know the details on that, Rob. That sounds very interesting. Okay. Yes. It's the missing 10 millimeter socket syndrome. That's a fact. All right. So this is the model that I'm going to size, center, and I'm going to do some trimming. I only want a part of it, not all of it, and everything. But we're going to, first thing is first, we got to get it sized down to fit our board, and on the y-axis, which is my taller axis and everything, my board is only 9 1/4 inches wide, right? And so I'm going to click apply here, and I'm going to center the model, and I'm going to I'm still shy. What I made it 7 1/4, not 9 1/4. 7 1/4. I reduced it down. 7 1/4. Let's click apply. There we go. All right, I'm going to center that model, and I'm going to position and import it. Now, sometimes, just so you know really quickly, so we can look at this here, sometimes that model's for sale on my website if anybody's interested. It's under the animals section on buildittv.com. But sometimes models could come in sideways, they could come in upside down, they could come in backwards. It all depends on how the creator created it, right? So we have to orientate it properly, so it's, you know, orientated properly and stuff. So that's what this orientation window's for. In my case, the models that we create and everything, they're always orientated properly, the top down and everything, and we size it. And when we center that model, I mean, it centers it in there. And if I turn this board up on its side and we zoom in closely, this blue line right here represents the 0 plane. Now, if I have a one-sided model, then I want my model above that 0 plane. If I have a two-sided model, meaning I'm going to carve half on one side, half on the other, then I want it split on that 0 plane pretty much, right? Well, in this case, when I go to position and import, you'll see the black line here. When I slide that slide bar, when I slide it down, it's going to bring that model up above that black line, that 0 plane, right? And now I don't want all this debris and everything, those trees and stuff and all that debris that's there. So I'm going to slide it down just a little bit. Oh, not that much. That black line, you know, I don't know how well you can see that black line there, but I'm sliding this down. That'll be good. And I'm deleting everything below the 0 plane, so when I import this model in, it'll get rid of anything that's below the 0 plane. Now, I've got to be careful about that because it might be part of the model that I'm actually deleting and creating holes. Do you see the hole that I just created right there? Can y'all see that big void in that hole? That's not a good thing. So when I deleted that model, it got rid of that hole, or it cut away that hole and everything. So that's not good at all. So the thing for me to do here, I can't get it back, right? I gotta delete that, and I gotta import it again. I need to keep that there, those trees that were there for a purpose. So one more time, very quickly, import the model. We got to move on. Got to get a move on. Size it down. I'm going to go 7.25. I'm going to click apply, center model, position and import, slide the slide bar to the bottom, and I'm not going to cut off that stuff in the bottom. I'm going to import that in. Okay. When I import that, I want to import all those little trees and bushes. Now I'm going to be cutting away. It's called trimming. I'm going to be trimming or clipping. Sorry, clipping is the term. I'm going to be clipping away this model. It looks funky when you look at it from the side, but when you look at it from the front, it's a really nice looking model. Lots of detail and everything, you know, and all. So now let's look at what we got going on here. All right, let's go to our 2D view and all, and let's look at, we got to fit everything into our oval, right? Right. And it's only going to be just a portion of it, okay? I just want kind of a portion of it and all that and everything. It doesn't have to be the whole thing. I don't need to sit there and try to squish this down, you know, right? And to get it in there or stretch it out or whichever. And I'm going to undo exactly what I'm doing here. But I don't need to try to, you know, distort the model. That'll look all funky, right? Look like you got a good case of the gout or something. But so I want to make sure that I undo that stretching and stuff. I want to keep its aspect ratio and everything. Let me unstretch him. There we go. Now, what I do want to do is I do want to size him in a way. I do want to size him in a way that I can get. I want kind of like a part of him in this oval. And remember now, this offset, I'm not stuck on that. It's not the end of the world if I have to make my offset a little bit bigger. This is just an offset that I created to kind of create like a little window. This, I could do the whole top of the board. I don't care. It could be whatever I want it to be, right? Now, I could also decide, you know, this probably isn't the most fitting model for this piece or whatever, and I could do that as well too. But I'm going to stick with this. Now, what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to worry about, like, if I cut off some of the antlers and everything. I want just kind of this look, right? That my model is going to have, you know, some kind of decorative element to it and everything. And I'm clipping, I'm trimming and all, so I could create whatever shape I want. I could have it in the middle with some kind of decorative stuff here and all, whatever the case may be. I could have it down a little bit so at least the antlers kind of fit in. Where I could do to the left, right, wherever I want to put it. What I'm going to do is this. I'm going to go to my drawing tool and I'm going to create an ellipse. About like that. And again, like I said, if I cut off some of his horns and all, that's not the whole main deal. I just want kind of, I don't need every bit of detail that's in this image, right? Now, on that layer, here's the important part. On that level, sorry, not layer, on that level, I can activate, if I select my vector and my model, I can activate what's called clipping in VCarve Pro. In Aspire, I can actually delete anything outside of that vector that I don't want, anything inside of the vector that I don't want. I could delete whatever I want. I could get rid of the background, all that stuff. But in Vectric, we have to draw vectors around, you know, what we want and what we don't want. And we're going to trim away the rest of the stuff. Now, I could get fancy. Now, I just did an oval here, right? So I'm going to take it just one step further. Guys, one step further, guys and girls. I'm going to move that oval. No, not that. Hold on. I'm going to move that oval just for a second. Come on now. Just for a minute. Come over there just for a second. We'll put it back. But I could, if I wanted to be fancy dancy, I could come in here to my trace tool and I could turn the fading off so you can see what's happening here. But I could pull that trace to where I just get an outline of the deer, right? You know, not all that stuff, right? But I could pull in to where I just get a nice outline of the deer there, right? I could come in and create that trace. I could come in and ungroup those vectors, hit the letter U for ungroup, right? And I could go in and delete vectors, the trash and stuff. Not that one. I could come into node editing. Again, trying to be quick about this, but I'm doing stuff that takes a long time, but I'm going to go in here and cut the vector there, cut the vector there. I can delete that little thing, and then I could rejoin that with a smooth curve over here to close it up. Right? Just to close it up. Over here, all those little spikes and stuff, if I wanted to get rid of them, I could come in, node editing, cut the vector here and here, delete that, join with a smooth curve, right? And, you know, I could clean up the spines or what have you. I could come in and cut the vector. One more time, last one, node editing. If I needed to go big or go home, I could come in here and cut the vector here. Cut the vector over here. Get rid of that entire thing right there. And then I've got a cool tool now called a freehand tool or a draw curve tool. I could come in and freehand that. And redraw and I overshot my curve there. I could reconnect that, and then I could go into node editing and fix my little screw up there. Right? I could pull this out where it belongs, pull that in, and just kind of refine my shape a little bit. You know, pull this in. Oops. Undo that, Control Z. One more time. I could pull that line in. Pull that. Delete this point. Pull that line in. All right, good enough for me. So whatever cleanup I needed to do, I want to get rid of this branch. I do want to get rid of that. So delete, or I'm sorry, cut the vector here and here. Delete this miscellaneous trash and just join that. I'm just going to join that with a straight line. Oh, missed that one altogether. Let's go here to there. Join with a straight line. Just a nice little connection there. And one more time, he's got a little earring right there. Let's get rid of that one, and that'll be the last of it, because I'm going to probably end up using the oval, but I'm going to cut the vector here. And over here, node editing, I'm just going to cut it somewhere right there. Get rid of this. And I'm just going to join that with a straight line. Nope. Select both your vectors, Laney. Come on, you're getting in a hurry there. And I'll just do a smooth curve just to close that off. Right? So, this trash, I can delete that. All right, so now I have somewhat of an outline, if you will. One more, sorry. One more. Cut the vector here and cut it here. And join with a smooth curve. Select that and that. Oh, hold on a minute. Don't do that. Select this. Select that. Join with a smooth curve. Okay. All right, that was the last one. One more. Cut the vector. Cut the vector. Delete. Join with a straight line. Okay, that was the last one. Now, all of that whole thing right there that I just did, the whole point of that was to say that if I wanted to, I could, I've got to stand by. I've got to go into node editing one more time. I've got to cut the vector here. And I got to draw a line from here down actually from here down to there. Space bar. Use my scissors. Cut that away. All right. Now I did sacrifice my oval. I'll put it back. That's one great thing, is it? So I could have this outline here. Now, long story short, go into the modeling tab, select that model, select that vector, all of it, and go into the level, right click and clip and apply the clipping. It doesn't look like anything occurred here in the 2D view, but if we look at the 3D view, it removed everything but that area, right? Was that worth it? Hopefully it was worth it, right? So, Lainey, would you also want to reduce the nodes after deleting them before, show that step? No, I'm not going to go through and minimize nodes and all that stuff. It's not necessary. So I am clipping because I'm just kind of keeping that area, right? I want to get rid of everything else. So everything inside that vector, it is keeping. Everything outside of that vector, let me turn this off. Everything outside of that vector, it is removing, right? Now, I'm going to take my little line here and I'm going to, I'm actually going to use that. I'll get rid of the oval. I'm going to create my offset again. Offset inward. And I think I went a 1/2 inch. I'm going to go 3/8, 0.375. Yeah. 1/2 inch. I'll get it. All right, stand by. 0.375. I want to go 375. Come on, Lenny. We got to get moving on now. All right, down here. Okay. I'm going to have a little bit of space right there. I don't want that much space. This all is going to get modeled out and everything, right? So what I'm going to do very quickly is I'm going to hit Control-C, Control-V to create a copy of this vector that I'm going to actually use. I'm going to take a line tool and I'm just going to contour that line to there, space bar to finish. This line is just going to kind of come straight down to here, space bar to finish. I'm going to use my scissors to trim that away, trim on that side of the line and that side of the line. Now what I've done is I've recreated that vector for right there, okay, on that oval. And I don't need the inside line. Okay. You'll see that when I actually do the actual modeling and all. But I'm going to reapply. I want you to see this now. If I go to the 3D view, I need to add that meat back here. It's very simple. I go to the model, select it, I go to the level, and on the clipping, I update the clipping. So let me select that new vector, which is selected, and I'm going to update that. And if I go back to my 3D view, first of all, let me select this. Now, is my vector open or closed? It's going to let me find out. Is my vector open or closed? It's open. Hold on, I got to close it up. Got to close it. Delete. That little line was hanging right over. All right, one more time, Laney. We got to work on it, work on it, work on it. All right, it's closed now. Let's do that again, Laney Shaughnessy. Let's select that. Select our model. Go to our layer or level and update the clipping. So now when we come back in the 3D view, okay, it did not like the update, so that's all right. I'm going to remove it. I'm going to apply it. There we go. For some reason, it didn't like the update. Whatever. Do it again. Okay. Now, in my 2D view, I still got to look at that model, but in the 3D view, it's here. Okay? Cool beans. Now, this bad boy's thick. Thick. He's a thick old boy. So, we need to go in and size him down a little bit. So we're going to go into the properties. He's about 0.49 inches thick. Remember now, my lid is only 3/4. Okay? My lid is only 3/4. So I'm going to have a 1/2 inch of material there. I've got to think about my deck of cards. I got to think about all that stuff on the other side of this. Am I going to do a little bit of a recess or a pocket? You know, I got to, think. So what I want to do is I'm just going to bring him down a little bit to 0.375. Okay? Hold on. Too many decimal points. All right. So just bringing him down to 0.375 thickness. Now, I'm going to create my tool paths. Let's move on with the tool paths and all. Now, I've just got him in the middle of this lid. There's not a whole lot going on here. I could do some decorative stuff and all that if I want to, or I could do some initials, whatever the situation calls for and stuff. That's totally up to you, that kind of thing. But I think I'm just going to have just the deer. It might look weird. It might look odd. We'll figure it out if it does. But we need to move on. It's 9 o'clock, so we might not get to the Euchre board. I'm sorry about that, but we'll try. My 3D carving, 3D rough cut, is going to be using this inside vector here. Okay, and let's look at my. I don't want to get too confusing. Let's look at my material setup first. Let's slow down. Slow down. Take a deep breath, Laney. My model. Sometimes those models could be floating in the wrong side of the board, in the middle of the board, and things like that. The model's this light tan area right here. We want it all the way at the top. I want to skim off about 0.010 of an inch above that model to eliminate any possibility of flat spots on the top of the model. So I'm going to, that's my job setup, my material setup, should I say. That's my material setup. My model's at the top, but with a 0.010 of an inch skin over it. Now what that does is that leaves my depth here. Okay, my depth is from the top of my model down to the bottom of my model. All right, that is, that leaves me a depth of, 0.37 or 375. My model thickness 375. Bear with me a second. My material 0.375. If I add 10 thousandths to that, 0.1, 0.1, my magic number is going to be 0.376 because I just added 10 thousandths to that. Okay. Why is that important? Because I'm going to do 2 cuts. Number 1, on my model cut, I'm just going to select this vector here. Not the one on the inside of the antler. I don't care about that. It's going to carve all that away anyway. But I'm going to use my 1/4 inch end mill. I'm going to use the selected vector as the boundary. I'm going to do a Z-level raster, and I want to cut with the grain, so my raster angle is going to be 0. And this is going to be my 3D rough 0.25 end mill. I'm going to calculate this toolpath. Now what that's going to do is, if we look at the 3D view, when I preview that visible toolpath, it's going to, and let me turn down the quality for a minute so it's a little faster. So that's going to just carve in that area, right? In here and stuff. Now, the 3D finish, I'm not liking the way he's looking right now. There's something odd going on. I think the position is throwing it off. Let's go look at the 3D finish. I'll know in 2 seconds if there's a screw up somewhere. I'm going to be using a 16th inch or an 1/8 inch end mill, or shit, Laney, an 1/8 inch tapered ball nose. I'm going to be using the selected vector as the boundary. Okay, just the selected vector as the boundary. And I'm going to allow it to go past the boundary by 1/8 of an inch. Very rarely do I do a boundary offset, but I want it to go past by 1/8 of an inch. So that the bit will blend into what I'm going to do over here with my pocket cut. So when I calculate this, it's going to be a raster going at that 0 angle again. And when I preview this visible toolpath here, okay. Now, you see how far down he is in that board? No. Don't want him down that far. He needs to be up higher. So, why is he down that far? Let's go to our material setup. This is a 2-sided job. We're on the bottom side of the board. We're on side 2. This is considered the bottom side of the board. So, I buried him on the top side of the board. I need this to be all the way down with a 10 thousandths of an inch skin on this side. Because it's a 2-sided job. Think of that thing flipped over, right? I'm going to recalculate the tool pass. I'm going to reset that preview and preview those tool paths. And that is much better. Right? He's up where he belongs. Okay, he's just at the very tip top of him. He is the very tip top peak of him. He's just 10 thousandths of an inch under the surface. Okay, now all the rest of this stuff between here and here is going to get pocketed out. All right. Now, I want to go just past this line. Actually, I'm sorry, it doesn't matter at this point. Between here and here, we're going to do a pocket cut. And when I do a pocket cut, I'm going to get a warning thrown at me. We're going to go 0.376. I'm going to get a warning thrown at me saying that, hey, there's overlaps. Right? Now, I'm going to go to the vector validator, and those overlaps are here. That whole bottom line right there, that overlap. Right? Well, I'm going to take these two vectors. God, I hope I'm not losing you guys. I'm going to take these two vectors. It's not supposed to be complicated. And I'm going to copy them to another layer. And this layer is going to be my boundary vectors. And on that layer, if I turn everything off, except for those layers, just that, it's a copy. I want to come in here with my scissors and I want to get rid of this line down here. Okay, this line, I want to get rid of it. Now, I want to make sure that before I do that, that the layer that I'm working in is highlighted in bold. Okay. And I'm going to go into node editing. I'm going to cut the vector right here. I'm going to cut the vector right here. And I'm going to hit the delete key and I'm going to get rid of those two vectors. And now I'm going to use my scissors and I'm going to trim up this one's a little messy. There we go. Zoom in. It likes when you zoom in. Oops. This one, I got to go into node editing. I'm going to cut. If I pull that up, yeah. I'm going to cut the vector there and there. So I can delete that. And I'm just going to pull this back down to there to join that up. I'm going to delete this. Now I have this vector. It is a closed vector. Okay. It's a closed vector and my pocket cut's going to get cut in here. So, go back and turn everything on. I don't need that on. All right. Calculate preview now. Notice that I have this funky little outline around the bottom of my model, all the way around. Okay? And notice that I cut my oval here. Don't want to do that. Okay? I don't want to do this down here. I don't want it cutting down there. It shouldn't cut down there because there's no vector there. So what that tells me is one of my other vectors is selected. Let me turn this on. Okay. Make sure nothing is selected. So I got all my layers turned back on. All right. All, right? Make sure there's nothing pink in here. Now the important one that I want is this vector. So I'm going to select it. That's the one I want to create the toolpath on. That is the one that I want to create the toolpath on. Okay. Now, you see that carve? Once again, that's the 3D cut doing that. That's the 3D carving doing that. That 3D carving cutting there. Okay? I can't let the 3D carving go past the model because it's creating that divot down here. We can't have that. We got to hurry up. Can't have that. But right here, that pocket cut isn't cutting all the way down to where my model's cutting. So this depth here is, this is 0.375. That cut is going all the way down to 0.3848. 3848. 385. So where's that number coming from? Let's go back and look at our job setup here. Here's the magic number, 0.385. 385. So when I do my pocket cut, it needs to be 0.385. When I calculate that, and I preview that visible toolpath, it should clean up We'll fix this model cut from doing that here in just a minute. But when my pocket comes in and cuts in here, it should clean up a nice smooth. There should not be any outlines around here. Now I have two issues. Number one, I got this little divot where the pocket cuts around the deer antler here. And I've got down here where it cuts down here. So, where that bit cuts and everything. So what I'm going to do is, number one, on the 3D finish cut, I'm not going to allow it to go 1/8 of an inch past the model, the vector. So that should stop it there. Okay, so if I reset this preview and preview the new toolpath, it won't cut there. The only thing is my bit, my tapered ball nose bit is hitting here. So in order to fix my issue, I'm just going to offset my oval outward a little bit more. Okay, so I'm just going to bring the oval outward a little bit more. So, come on now. Delete. Offset. Outward. 1/8 of an inch, 0.125. This doesn't change. This relationship here doesn't change. However, copy to layer, boundary vectors. On that layer, I am going to retrim here. So node editing, cut the vector, cut the vector. delete that line. I'm going to extend. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, this wasn't supposed to get this complicated. I'm going to extend from here to here. And I'm going to trim away here. Okay. So, that's my new pocket boundary there. So on that pocket boundary, that'll be the new one. I've got a little loop overlap right there. I'm going to clean that up really quickly. Okay. That way you guys aren't like, what's that warning that keeps popping up? All right, one more time. Let's preview all the tool paths. Okay. All right. I don't know what that is right there. All right. I don't like it. I got to have that 1/8 inch offset allowance on the 3D finish. Got to have it. No way ifs, ands, or buts about it, because I need it to clean up those edges. When I preview that visible toolpath, you'll see the difference as it cleans up the edges around the antlers and everything. I needed to clean up those edges. So unfortunately, it's going to, you know, be like that. And I can't do nothing about it. It is what it is. So what am I going to do? I'm going to flip back over to my other side here. I'm going to turn on all my layers. Okay. That vector right there, that vector right there, is the same as this one. I'm going to do a profile cut. With a 1/4 inch end mill. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. That one lost you. Outside, I'm going to calculate that. I'm going to preview that visible toolpath. Okay. All right. So that's going to be that top side. Well, I think I can just take my 1/4 inch bit and cut in here and thin that out. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? I don't even have to have this lip here. My pocket cut, I can take I'm going to get rid of that whole lip altogether. So I'm going to take this oval, I'm going to do an offset outward, 1/16 of an inch, doesn't have to be much, for just the purpose of pocketing. I'm going to select this vector here. I'm going to go into this pocket, this pocket cut right here. I'm going to select that vector and this outside vector, and I'm going to calculate that whole darn toolpath. I'm going to calculate it. Oh. What? What are you doing? What's up, Chuck? Oh, you stupid Laney. Can't do that. All right. I have no choice. Delete that. One more time. Come into my layers. Turn everything off except for that boundary vector layer. Take my line tool one more time and draw a line. I don't care. From here to here. I'm just going to pick a spot now. Draw a line from here to here. Pick a spot. I'm going to trim that away and that away. Okay. I'm using the outside vector. And I'll be damned if it wasn't the right outside vector. Come on now, son. Come on now. Let me make sure it's the right outside vector. Let me make sure it's the right one. It is the right one. Shoo! All right, it's the right one. Right? Copy the other side. Let me just make sure it's the right one. All right. That's the one I need. All right. Trim. Trim. Pocket cut. This vector. Calculate. Reset the preview. Preview all the toolpaths. Sorry, I know that's confusing, guys. You'll have to go. I'll have to kind of step back and tell you exactly what's happened and what's going on. So, I had a lip in there to begin with, right? I had a lip in there to begin with, and the this lip, which you see right here, right? That lip there. And this edge, all this fuzz, I just want that deer head just to be on that plate. I don't want the lip all the way around it. I don't want that. I just want my magnets on the inside here with a little slight pocket. And I want this to be my top of my lid. Now I could add other embellishments in here, which I'm not getting into that because we're wasting so much time with this. It was just a big mess all to begin with. But this right now... This, stand by, this line, copy to other side, that vector right there, and this vector right here should be my pocket cut vector. Not the one that I've been drawing around there and all that crap and all that blah, blah, blah. But if I just use this vector, this is the outside border line. If I use that vector, then I'm going to have those fuzzies on the edge of my 3D view, which are those little fuzzies that you see here. These little fuzzies and stuff. So, this line, last thing I'm going to do, God help me, is I'm going to offset outward a 1/16 of an inch. And the vector going around the deer and the vector that I just offset, that is going to be my two pocket cut vectors. That one and that one. When I calculate that toolpath, and I preview that visible toolpath, it should clean up those fuzzies around that edge and just be that deer head. That's it. Holy Jesus. All of that moving around, excuse my language, Lord, but Lord of mercy, all that just to get to that. Just to get to that. Right? God. Help me. Sorry, I wasted your time and mine. Okay? Wasted your time and mine on that one. The vectors that I needed were the outside profile vector offset an 1/8 inch outward, and the deer vector that I drew earlier that was surrounding the deer, this, and this vector. That was the only two vectors I needed to do the pocket cut, to level everything out to the bottom of that deer. That was it. That was it. And I don't know where my mind was for the last 25 minutes, but that was it. All right, so 3D rough cut, 3D finish cut, our pocket cut, and our profile cut, cutting the part out. That's our door. That is our side 2. We're missing one set of tool paths. It's the wasteboard alignment holes. The wasteboard alignment holes don't get cut into the project board. They get cut into the wasteboard. It's going to be a drilling operation. It's going to be going 1/4 inch deep with a 1/4 inch end mill. I'm going to peck this, and this is going to be my wasteboard. And I always name the wasteboard so I know what it is. Wasteboard alignment holes. I am so sorry that I wasted your time on that last 25 minutes. That was brutal. 0.25 end mill. All that to get to that. Crazy. All right, so what we should have is this side's going to get cut last. This side gets cut last. The other side gets cut first. This side here, we are going to have our 2 magnet holes. Now the magnet holes, they're going to be cut with an undersized bit. It's a pocket cut. They're going to be cut with an 1/8 inch end mill. So it's a nice perfect hole. I don't want a drill operation and a chance of wallowing out the hole. I want a nice pocket cut. So an undersized bit. 1/8 inch end mill on a 1/4 inch hole is an undersized bit on a larger hole. It's a pocket cut. It's going to be cutting 0.3 millimeters deep. Right? 3 millimeters deep. If I multiply that by the letter I and hit equals, it's only 0.118 inches deep. Right? I'm going to round that to 112. 0.12. Just because. It could be 1/8 of an inch. That's fine also. 125, right? Whatever. But 12 is good. I'm going to calculate. This is a magnet holes. Name it magnet holes. We're moving with gas now. Magnet holes. 0.125 end mill. I'm so sorry, guys. That just pisses me off so bad that I wasted that much time. 0.125 end mill. Thinking on the fly, you know. Thinking on the fly and like ending up where you want to end up. This wasn't designed. This is all thinking on the fly right now for the class. I didn't have anything pre-planned. I had 2 projects I want to do. A Euchre board and a cribbage board. No design in mind other than general shapes and stuff. All right, magnet holes. Preview the visible toolpath. That's going to be our magnet holes. This little pocket here, I just want a little bit of a relief. Now the main pocket's going to be here in my thicker material. I just want a small amount of relief on this just to give me just a little bit of breathing room. Not a whole lot. So I'm going to go like a 16th, possibly an 1/8 and all, but I think a 16th will be, I think an 1/8 would be good. I think an 1/8 would be good. 16th might be a little too small. So it's going to be a pocket cut. We're going to cut 0.125 inches deep with a, no, I'll change bits. I'm not that lazy. I'll change bits, 1/4 inch end mill. Calculate the, No, I want an 1/8 inch bit, not a 1/4 inch. Sorry. I want the smallest radius is in the corner that I can get. I want my 1/8 inch bit. Calculate. I want the smallest radius, even though it doesn't matter if this box is bigger than my cards, but I want the smallest radius possible here. So this is my lid card pocket, 0.125 end mill. Calculate. That way my end mill will do both the magnets and that pocket lid, and it's just going to be just a very shallow 1/8 inch cut. That's it. Okay. Now, we're going to add in the alignment holes. Now, these actually do get cut on the board. My alignment holes that I cut on the board, I always cut 3/8 of an inch deep because my pegs are a 1/2 inch long. 3/8 of an inch on the board, 1/4 of an inch on the wasteboard. Those two numbers are a little bit bigger than a 1/2 inch, right? So 375. This is my board alignment holes. 0.25 end mill. Gosh, I can't believe it. Just frazzles my whole mind when I do something screwy like that. All right, preview the visible toolpath. So my wasteboard alignment holes, they're going to be first. That's the first toolpath. Then I'm going to change bits to my 1/8 inch end mill, and it's going to run the magnet holes and the little pocket hole. That's it. Flip the freaking board over, right? We're going to move the board out of the way. We're going to do our wasteboard alignment holes, put our pegs in, flip the board over on there and push it on there. And then we're going to run our 3D rough cut, 3D finish cut, our pocket cut, and our profile cut to carve out the rest of this lid. And all this is a decorative cap that gets magnet onto the other board. Laney, laney, laney. All right. That's it. So let's preview all sides. All right, flip this over. Come on. Okay, so we'll have the magnet holes and that little pocket relief on the back and the deer on the front. That's it. All of that for that. All right, let's get a move on here, Chuck. Let's get a move on. Let's come over here. Now, on this project board, on the one, first things first, this inside pocket, or I'm sorry, this outside line right here, my lid goes up to this line. This is a little bit of place, so my lid has a little bit of wiggle room, right? By a 32nd and all, but that line is going to be a pocket cut. I want to recess it down. I want the lid to have to sit inside of a slight little pocket, if you will. So it's going to be a pocket cut. And this is a one-sided board we're carving here. It's going to be a pocket cut, and I'm just going to go down. I only need like a, an 1/8 or 1/16. It doesn't have to be real much, just enough to kind of sit down in, right? So I'm going to go 1/8 of an inch, and I'm going to go with a 1/4 inch end mill. Terrible. We're going to go, this is just going to be our middle or center pocket. 0.25 end mill. Calculate. Okay, and what that's going to do is that's just going to bring that center down just that 1/8 of an inch. Okay, the lid will sit in there, when the magnets, right? So it just gives us a little place to sit. All right, now our magnet holes, they're going to start. Oh, that's the wrong one. They're going to start at 1/8 of an inch because that's how deep the process is, right? And they're going to cut, I'm going to go 0.12 just like I did with the other magnet holes. And I'm going to use the 1/8 inch end mill just like I did with the other magnet holes. And this is going to be my magnet holes on the base. 0.125 end mill. Mental. Preview the visible toolpath. There you go. If you guys and girls, I'm sorry if y'all have asked questions and I haven't answered them. That's a shame of me. But I just got frazzled and all. Laney, is it possible to chamfer around the lid? Just asking. Yes, it is. And it would probably look much better with a chamfer than being flat. We'll look at that in just a second. But it's very easy to do and it's not difficult. And it won't take much time to do it all to add to that. But I think it would probably look a little better with a chamfer, Fred. And let's see here. Brooke says, a.k.a. Laney S 2023 bow season 12 point 185. There you go. Yep. Right, we could add all kinds of cool stuff in there. All right, now our pocket, we've got 2 pockets, and that was thanks to, oh God, who gave me that idea? Raise your hand. We're doing a pocket inside of a pocket, right? I think it was Michael Murphy's. Raise your hand, whoever that was. But we're going to do a pocket inside of a pocket. And our pegs are going to be down low, right? And then our cards are going to be kind of above that and everything. So our peg hole is going to be a pocket cut. Now it's going to start at 1/8 of an inch because I've already milled down that 1/8 of an inch, right? So it's going to start at 1/8. And we're going to cut down. Now remember, the card's thickness, it's about 1.3 centimeters, 0.512 thick. But again, as I think it was somebody said, older cards are going to be a little bit, thicker because they're going to be played. They're going to get more. They're not going to be nice, slick, and thin. They're going to kind of be that paper material is going to be kind of puffy. So they're going to be a little bit thicker and all. They're going to jam into that box because we're not going to just throw the cards all loose, willy-nilly in there, right? We're going to put them in the box and all. But our boxes, generally we might be a little thicker. So 0.512 would be right at the thickness, right? But you got to remember now, we have the 1/8 of an inch in the lid. Remember that relief? So that way I don't have to go a whole lot deeper. I still got some relief in the lid, that 1/8 of an inch. So that's a big deal, right? So I'm going to go, I think that 0.512 plus that 1/8 of an inch relief that we have in the lid, I think that'll be plenty, more than plenty, right? So the cut depth is going to be 0.512. Okay. And that 1/8 of an inch is going to be my little play, that relief, that fluffiness that they get from being used, right? So we're going to use a 1/4 inch end mill. All right. Now, that's the pocket. That's this guy right here. We'll do the inner pocket in a minute, and then we'll switch things around all. But that's the pocket. So that is going to be my card pocket. Okay. And it's going to be a 0.25 end mill. Let's select our tool. Let's come in here and calculate. Select that, hit reset, and calculate. Now, somebody is going to say to me, let me hit the preview. Let me preview that toolpath. Somebody's going to say, hey, when you did the pocket on the lid, and I had the wrong vector selected. Sorry, wrong vector selected. This one. Somebody's going to say, hey, when you did the vector on the lid, you used an 1/8 inch bit so you have smaller radius on there. Wouldn't you want to match it up? And now that I say it out loud, I agree with that someone who's thinking that, right? So I'm going to come back here and move that 1/4 inch bit, and I'm going to put my 1/8 inch in there. So it matches what I did on the lid. I know somebody's thinking that. Like, he used an 1/8 inch. All right, let's preview all the tool paths. So we got our little pocket that's an 1/8 inch deep. That's where my lid can sit into. We got our card pocket and our magnet holes, right? So that's where we're at so far. Now, my inner pocket here, I've already carved, on my inner pocket and everything, I've already carved an 1/8 of an inch, my main pocket, from 0, right? From 0. I've already carved 0.512. If I add those together, I'm already at 0.637 to the bottom of this cut right here. The card pocket cut, right? So I can start there, and then I just need to add the additional depth that I want to cut for my peg holes. Now imagine if I have 3 rows of pegs. Let's say they're 0.26, or let's call it a 1/4 for right now. We'll add a little extra, but let's say it's a 1/4 inch for the head of the peg, right? The head of the peg is 1/4 of an inch, then it tapers down. So if I have 3 stacked on top of each other, quarter, 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 that's 3/4 of an inch. Right? Well, they're not going to be stacked dead on top of each other. They're going to be kind of shifted off, you know, almost like a pyramid and all that stuff. They're going to be shuffled around there. You might have some heads this way, some heads flip the other way, you know, with the taper, so they don't have to go real deep. I don't want to go 0.6 inches, you know, 0.6 or 3/4 of an inch deep, right? You know, so I'm going to go, for me, my 1/4 inch, and 1/4 inch, let's say I have the heads, let's say I have them reversed, right? So I got a 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch, that's 2 layers of pegs, and let's say I want to go another one. So I'm going to go about, for me, a 1/2 inch. Okay, I think a 1/2 inch will be fine. So from that 0.637, I'm going to go another 0.5 inches. Calculate. Of course, select the right vector when you do it. So let's select the right vector when we do it. And this is going to be my peg pocket. 0.2 point. Might as well do it all. Nope. 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 Yes. All right. Let me explain to what I'm saying no about and why I just said yes. 0.125 in mil. Okay. Calculate. Important here, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Very important. Preview the visible toolpath. Now, to the bottom of that pocket right there, I'm at 1.137 inches deep. Okay? I can tell that by looking at the numbers in the bottom of the screen here on the right. When I hover the mouse, Z0, when I move the mouse into the cut, it shows me that negative 0.137. Okay? That is 1/8 of an inch. 0.637 is here. That's 1/8 of an inch plus that 0.512. And then another 1/2 an inch there. It's 1.137. Now, what I was saying no about is I did not change. I have the 1/8 inch bit. Now, I have an 1/8 inch bit that has a 1 inch cutting flute, 1/4 inch shank. Okay? Most 1/8 inch bits only have 7/16 or 1/2 inch cutting flutes. I have an extra long one from Speed Tool. Now, as long, I've got 1 inch cutting flute, my bit overall length is a 3 inch bit. 3 inch bit. 1 inch of that is the cutting flute. Now, since all this material here has already been milled away, I'm not worried about my shank because I'm cutting from this level right here to this level. I'm only cutting 0.5 inches deep. I'm not worried about my shank colliding with wall because there's no wall there. Now, if I wouldn't have cut this pocket first and I was just cutting straight down to this pocket first, I would not use my 1/8 inch bit because my shank would collide and crash with the wall. I'd use a 1/4 inch end mill. But since all this material has been milled away first prior to this cut happening, then I'm okay. As long as I have 1.137 inches of bit sticking out of my router. That's all I care about. 1.5 inches of bit is fine. I've got a 3 inch bit overall. So, you know, having it in the proper amount up into the collet versus what's exposed, I can have plenty of bit hanging out to cut. And since all that material right here on this upper level has been milled away, I'm not worried about the shank of my 1/8 inch bit colliding with anything. So I'm going to be fine with just sticking with the one bit. Right? No sense in changing bits. And plus it keeps my radiuses small on the inside corner. So I'm happy with that. All is good. I love that idea. It's a great idea. Love that idea. It's a great idea. And just so you know, for you guys and girls, just so you know, I just ordered in some new bits, right? So I'll show you what that bit looks like. So this is the Speed Tool. Hold on. Hold on a minute. Let me bring myself back up to full view. Hello. Hi, everybody. All right, so this is the speed tool, right? That's the 1/8 inch bit, 1/4 inch shank, upcut spiral, right? So that's the upcut. Then I have Amazon, $21. Then I have the same bit. I haven't even opened them yet. Then I have the same bit, but in a down cut spiral. Okay, same 3 inch overall, 1/4 inch shank, 1/8 inch 2 flute bit, solid carbide, speed tool. I'm not knocking them. I like them a lot. Like them a lot. I even went as far as getting their 1/4 inch compression bit. 1/4 inch compression bit. So I don't know how well the light is, but 1/4 inch compression bit for the speed tool. I don't know why it's not focusing, but that's the compression bit. Amazon speed tool. All right. While I was at it with those, I also bought a White Side 2050 1/8 inch round over bit. Right, 1/8 inch round over bit. So someone was talking about a chamfer, a round over, or whatever. You know, all of that stuff is doable, and I'm not going to waste time opening that bit. But I also bought some keyhole bits for the T-tracks that I'm making for the wasteboard. Got 2 of those. Those are Yannicka. I like Yannicka. I have no problem with them. But speed tool I really like, and those are the 1 inch bits I'm referring to. Okay, let's go back to class here. All right. Okay. Bit numbers, right? Bit numbers. The 1/8 inch upcut W04017. And I'm going to just make life easy on you right here. Hold on a second. Amazon. Okay, guys and girls, right here, 1/8 router bit, 1/4 inch shank. Type that in your search bar, and it's the very first thing in the list here, right up here. The speed tool extra long spiral bit, 1/8 inch diameter. This one is a downcut. That's the downcut one, and the one right below it is the upcut. But if you want the tool numbers, here we go. The compression bit is W, as in whiskey, 02003. W 02003. That's their 1/4 inch compression bit. The 1/8 inch downcut doesn't have a number. The upcut bit is W04017. Okay. And the downcut bit that number, that tool number, let's see if they did us dirty. I want to assume it's the HRC. It literally doesn't have a tool number on here. Here, hold on. That's a T-bolt. Yeah, it literally doesn't have a number on it, but it's the 1/8 inch extended long diameter bit. It has a 1 inch cutting flute. Speed tool. Look it up on Amazon, right? You can just type in 1/8 inch router bit, 1/4 inch shank. It's right there in the first 2 rows. Cool beans. All right. Hopefully that was helpful. Okay, now, let's get back to it. Let's get back to it, ladies and gentlemen. Now, on our gameplay area, I didn't put in the skunk or any of that stuff. You know, we can add that later and all that. But our gameplay area, we're going to turn off the layers for the pass. We don't want them. Okay. Now, the one thing that I did not do is I did not go through and delete all the lines, you know, and everything that needed to be deleted. So here's the gist of it all, right? I am going to select everything here, and I'm just going to hit the letter U on the keyboard, right? So that anything that's grouped will just ungroup. All right? Now, if I draw a selection window from right to left with my mouse, anything my window touches, it will select. Okay? If I go from right to left, whatever I select has to be 100% in that window. But if I go left to right, it has to be 100% in the window. But if I go from right to left, my window just has to touch the item and it'll select it. Okay? So what that allows me to do is very quickly to select those lines. Just draw that nice. Now make sure when you're drawing, it can be skinny and all that stuff. If there's a curve, stop, you know, whatever. But you should be able to carefully grab multiple lines. And on the curves and stuff, it's a little bit more tricky, right? But you should be able to grab those and delete them very, very quickly. And that's a little bit easier than going click, delete, whatever, you know. So you can do it one at a time, or you can draw your selection window. And when we get on the corners, it's a little bit more difficult. So this one might be click, delete, you know, all the way around. We're getting rid of those lines and everything. And you get the idea. Delete them all the way around. And these are going to be oh, don't hit the delete key on that. These are going to be a drilling toolpath. So let's turn off the lines. Those are going to be profile cuts. But we're going to have a drilling toolpath. Now, drilling toolpath, these are going to cut 0.41 inches deep for your peg holes for a cribbage board. 0.45, sorry, not 41. 0.45 inches deep. That's a good depth for a peg, for your peg holes for your cribbage board, 0.45 inches deep. We're going to use a 1/8 inch end mill, and we're going to use pecking. If you don't use pecking, it just drives the bit straight down to 0.45 and comes out. Burn up a bit that way. Peck it. Takes a little longer, but peck it. All right, so this is going to be our game holes, right? And so that's going to preview the visible toolpath, right? That's going to create those game holes and everything. The lines, you know, between the game holes, we're going to, and I'm doing a kind of a click and all, because drawing my mouse from right to left, because of the angles, I can only really kind of get a good grab on, you know, a couple at a time and stuff. So it's easier to kind of just race through really quickly. Now it's 10:01, guys. I'm so sorry. That deer was a brutal mistake. All right, right to left. Still not quite at the curve that I can get that a good. All right. Now, what I want to do is after I'm just going to very quickly ignore that. I'm going to very quickly just come in here and delete. Come in and delete. Work my way around as fast as I can. Work it. Oh. Easy, boy, easy. Thinking to myself, why can't I draw upside down? We're there. 10 more. All right, now I'm going to select everything again. I am going to hold down the shift key. I only have to do this one time, so I don't mind doing it. I'm going to hold down the shift key and I'm going to turn off all the vectors that I don't want selected. And that includes this text, and that includes every one of these lines. Okay? Bear with me. This will make sense in about 5 seconds. I am deselecting these lines all the way around, keeping those circles together because I'm going to group them bad boys as one so I don't have to ungroup them later. So hit G for group those. That way I can just click on them when I want to select them and click off. Now, once again, I'm going to select all my vectors. Hold down the shift key. I'm going to deselect what I don't want selected. That leaves all of my lines. I'm going to hit G for group. I'm going to group them together. Now my lines are going to be a profile cut. I'm going to cut a 1/16 of an inch deep with a 60-degree V-bit. Actually, that's a lie. I'm going to use a 22-degree V-bit because I'm going to use a 22 on my text. So I'm going to come in here and use a 22-degree V-bit. The Whiteside SC50 carving liner is a great 22-degree V-bit. Whiteside Sierra Charlie 50 is a great 22-degree V-bit. Highly recommend it. But that's the bit I'm going to use. We're going to carve on the line, and we're going to V-carve. This is going to be my dividing lines. 22 DEG V-bit. Calculate. All right. That's going to be my dividing lines. All right. Cool beans. My text is going to be a V-carve. I'll throw in the skunk in there too as well later, but right now V-carve, it's going to have no flat depth. It's going to use the 22-degree V-bit, Whiteside SC50. No end mill, and it's going to calculate. This is going to be my start, stop text. 22 DEG V-bit. Okay. All right, calculate. Preview that visible toolpath. Zoom in. Okay. It looks blurry as all be it because I have the volume, not the volume, I have the quality turned down. If I turn it up to what looks like a 98% representation of the project, if I were to carve or view all those toolpaths, at the little bit higher resolution, it's going to be a little bit slower. Slow. Right? Slow. Slower. Come on. We've got things to do. Not really. I do. Y'all have a life, right? I don't. I have no life. All right. So there's that. All right. our little magnet holes, our little pocket cuts, right? So that cut's going to happen. It's happening right now as it stands. All right. Our little internal pocket cut. Our little game holes, which we got to finish the game holes now that we've ungrouped everything. But there's our game holes, our dividing lines, and our text. And if we come in and zoom in on our text, it's a little bit clearer, right? You can see that a little bit better when the resolution is turned up. Now, game holes. We're going to open up that game hole toolpath, and we're going to select those vectors. Now that they're all selectable, they're grouped together, right? So we're going to open up that toolpath, select that, and calculate. Preview the visible toolpath. Awesome. Awesome blossom. Now, final cut. Profile cut. Cutting it out. 1.5 inches deep. I'm thinking about a round over. I'll show you that one too. That'll be before the profile cutout, but let's do the profile cutout real quick. That's going to be our 1/4 inch end mill. On the outside of the line, 1.5 inches deep, I'm going to just, this is going to be my outside profile. 0.25 end mill. Calculate that. Now this is by no means a fancy cutting board at all. I could add some decoration to it or some, you know, something or whatever. Got a lot of empty space here to add some embellishments. I could add some little symbols like poker cards or playing cards or whatever. Could do whatever, right? All right, let's talk about a round over very quickly. I wish they wouldn't vacuum seal these bad boys. Oh my God. Oh my gosh. Jeez Louise. All right. Let me peel the wax off. They come with wax. Don't cut my finger off. Okay. Let me go into full view here very quickly. The white side 2050 router bit. Let me see. Where's my hand at? Where's your hand at, Lainey? Hold on. Where's the white side 2050 roundover bit has an 1/8 inch roundover, 1/4 inch kind of from the bottom of the bit up to the top of the roundover, right? 1/4 inch cut depth. So when we're doing a roundover, when we do a roundover toolpath, we use our profile line here. It's a profile toolpath. Our cut depth is from the bottom of the bit to the top of that roundover. So it's going to, for this case, for this particular bit, it's 1/4 inch. We're going to use from our tool database our roundover bit, our white side 2050. We're going to cut on the outside of the line, but we're going to have an offset allowance. So on this bit, from the outside edge of the bit to the inside edge of the roundover, that distance is 1/8 inch. This is 3/8 overall. 3/8 overall. 1/8, 1/8, 1/8. But that distance to the outside of the cutter, outside of the cutter to the inside of that cutter is 1/8 inch. That is our allowance offset, and it's a negative number. Negative 0.125. Okay? When we're cutting on the outside line, I want you to understand this something. If you're cutting, I don't care if you're cutting on the outside of the line, the inside of the line, one of those two. When you want to go over the line, it's always a negative number. When you got to go away from the line, it's a positive number. So if I'm cutting on the outside here, which I am, I want to go over the line, it's a negative number. If I want to stay away from the line by 1/8 inch, it's a positive number. In this case, I need the bit to go over. It needs to step over. So it's a negative 1/8 inch. This is our roundover. Roundover. Gives a nice look, a nice soft look. Okay, roundover. White side 2050. All right, calculate. Now what that does is, let's go ahead and double click on our waste here. Let's get rid of our waste and save. We're gonna hit save after this because I can see it slowing down. I don't want it crashing. We're gonna hit save really quickly. Good job, good job. All right, that round over, I want to kind of get in on this corner where y'all can see it really well. Oh, hey, hi guys, I'm in the way. I am in the way. Somebody didn't let me know. So here's what we did. All right, we did let me go back here real quick. I was right in the way. I was in everybody. My big old head was in the way. Wasn't even paying attention. We did a profile toolpath, 1/4 inch cut depth. That's from the bottom of the bit to the top of the round over. We are using the white side 2050. We're cutting on the outside of the line and we're stepping over on the allowance, a negative 0.125. Okay, when we calculated that toolpath, that's going to create, preview the visible toolpath. That's going to create this nice subtle round over, right? And just going to be a nice subtle round over there. Okay. Now imagine, if you will, that we have this game board here, right? I wish I could put the two together, but that game board is going to have this lid, preview all sides, it's going to have this lid, and again, it's going to take just a little bit longer. I got the resolution turned up a little bit tighter on this. Okay, so that then gets flipped over. Then our 3D rough cut's going to come in and hog away the waste material. We have a 3D finish cut that's going to come and do the 3D finish detail on the deer. Now this one's going to take just a hot minute here for this one because it's going to take a while for the preview. Not too long, a few seconds. And then someone asked about a chamfer, like a nice little chamfer on the edge. Now we could do a round over or a chamfer, you know, on our lid, depending on how much meat we have left, right? And everything. Depending on how much meat we have left and everything, we could do a round over or a chamfer. Now, our cut, our round over on our other toolpath is before the profile cut. Do your round over first, then your profile cut to cut out and everything. On this one, after the pocket cut is complete, which the pocket cut, which is removing the material right now, everything is upside down for the moment. I can alter this. I can turn this around. So that pocket cut, once this completes, then you would do the round over or chamfer, whichever you choose to do, before you do your profile cutout. Now, the question is, I'll leave this to you up in the group, how would the round over work for the card pocket? It would work just fine. We'll go back and do that as well too. Show you that. Now the choice is y'all's. Chamfer or round over on the lid. Now remember that lid's going to be in the middle. We've got our box, our big main game board's got the game board, and then the center, that 1/8 inch pocket, that flat pocket we created before we did all the, you know, all the inside stuff. That's so the lid can kind of sit down inside that pocket, and of course it's going to magnetic shut, right? But it gives it kind of that little recess, you know, so it's not just sitting on top, you know. That's why we pocketed it down a little bit. So it's going to be sitting in there. So now you're going to have, imagine if you will, you're going to have this lid, which you're about to see here in 2 seconds. It's a little slow. Couple more seconds. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Final cut, final cut, final cut. Clean it up. it up, clean it up, clean it up. Profile cut, cut it out. Come on. Move it along, little doggy, move it along. All right, you're going to have this lid. Wait for it. It's going to be sitting down in that pocket, and this is going to be kind of what you see. So now this outer edge, we have a choice. Do we have a nice little chamfer? It's going to be straight edge, then a little chamfer, or do we round it over? So it's kind of a round over like the outside edge. What do you call for? What do you guys say? What do you say? You tell me what you think. What do you think? Round over or chamfer? Either one. Or we can look at both and we can do a decision. Here, I tell you what. Let's do both and let's see what it looks like. All right, let me teach you how to do a chamfer cut. So, on the other side, it's going to be the inside vector. That's our main vector, right? Not our little offset there. Our main vector, that's our profile cut. Okay, chamfer cuts first. Chamfer toolpath. Now, I want you to look at these arrows. You see the arrowheads? The arrowheads point towards the direction of the deepest part of the cut. Arrowheads point to the deepest part of the cut. In this case, they're pointing the wrong direction. We need to, first of all, we're starting at, this has been pocketed down, right? So we got to think about that. Remember the depth that it was pocketed down to. Okay? That depth that it was pocketed down to, which our magic number was 0.385. That's our start depth, 0.385. You got to remember that. So, come back over here. Our chamfer toolpath is going to be starting at 0.385. Okay? Now, we're going to be using a V-bit. 90 degree, 60 degree, totally up to you, right? What angle you want your chamfer. I am thinking a 90 degree V-bit, so it's a little bit more like dramatic, right? A little 90 degree. So we're going to go with a 90 degree V-bit. And the lid, the remaining thickness of the lid when it's all cut down, right, is about 3/8 of an inch, thick and everything. So I don't want to go very deep with it. Okay. So the cut depth, I just want a nice little chamfer around the edge. So I'm going to say, let's say a quarter, 0.25. And our arrows, again, arrowheads pointing to the deepest part of the cut. That's the wrong direction. We need to be pointing towards this line. So we need to change this to outward. Nope, that's not the right one. We're going to be inward. But we're going to be sloping upward. So what that means is from our line, our chamfer is going to be sloping upward to the surface of our board, right? Our main body. So it's going to be sloping upward. So here is our board. Our chamfer is going to be sloping upward to that surface. Sloping upward. Okay. And yes, 385 is our magic number, not 375, 0.385. Thank you for pointing that out. So this selection is going to be an inside chamfer sloping upward. And we're going to calculate that tool path. Okay. And so if we, let's move away our waist here. If we preview that chamfer, preview that visible tool path, yeah, we're panicking thinking it was going to look bad, no? But that's going to be our chamfer. That's our chamfer. Okay. So that doesn't actually look bad, right? As a chamfer. I think it looks good. 11 degree is half of that bit. I have one. It says the same thing, 22 degrees. Yes. Yeah, the Whiteside SC50 is a 22 degree included angle, 11 degree half angle. Cool. All right. So that's a chamfer. That's what that would look like with a chamfer on it. Very nice, right? Very nice. Now, let's wrap this bow on this. Let's look at it with a round over, right? I can't really undo, you know, the last. Yes, I can. Undo last, right? Put that back. Now we're going to do a round over. So, profile cut. Starting at point 385. Cutting 1/4 of an inch with our 2050 round over bit on the outside of the line with an offset of allowance of negative 0.125. That's the specific numbers for that tool, right? So your cut depth is the depth of the bottom of the bit to the top of the round over. Your offset is from the outside of the bit to the inside of the round over, that distance. That's your allowance. So if we calculate that tool path, if we preview that visible tool path, so there's the round over. So it's kind of a choice of, okay, round over or chamfer, right? Whichever one you think's so good. Hey, Big Daddy Fish, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Thank you for that super chat. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you. So the choice is yours, right? Chamfer, round over, right? They both look good, right? I wish I could stick one on top of the other. That would be cool, right? If we could do that. Stick one on top of the other, see what it looks like. But, you know, the roundovers would match. That would probably look good. But that chamfer didn't look too shabby. You know, that chamfer, imagine, you know, that nice little angle down, and then you got your gameplay area right there and stuff. The chamfer didn't look too shabby either. So it's kind of a toss-up. It really is. One of the two. But, you know, we got our little deer on one side, and then on the other we'd have that little recessed pocket in our magnet holes, which are not showing right now. But the kind of a 6 1/2 does another. Now, someone had asked the question on how the roundover would look on the pocket hole. Let's switch back over really quickly. Let's switch back over to that side on here. It's going to be too shallow. This is too shallow for the roundover on that top part of that pocket. But over here, someone had asked how that roundover would look on this pocket here. So, profile toolpath, 1/4 inch deep, right side 2050 roundover bit, outside of the cut, negative 0.125. Calculate. Nope, that's inside of the cut. Sorry, inside of the cut on this one. Inside of the cut. Calculate. Almost screwed that up. All right, let's I'm going to turn the oops. Hold on, I flipped for a minute. I'm going to turn the view down just a little bit. I'll kind of meet in the middle. And because we got to kind of preview all the toolpaths to get to that. So preview all toolpaths. All right, so we're going to have our pockets a little bit faster. I turned down the volume a little bit. Hey, D. Mueller, thank you so much for the super chat, guys. I appreciate you so much. Thank you. All right, I appreciate you. D. Mueller, thank you. Big Daddy Fish 2. What happened to Big Daddy Fish 1? Was that Grandpa, or did you lose the username and you had to set the second one up? So is that Grandpa, the older generation, or is that just you lost the first one and the username, had to create the second one? But Big Daddy Fish, thank you, and thank you, D. Mueller. Appreciate you very much for that. Thank you, guys. And also earlier, Roger Brown. Earlier, thank you for that. Appreciate you. Cool beans. Alrighty. Okay, so now remember my round over right? That profile cut, that round over, I forgot to start at the 1/8 of an inch down. That's why you're not seeing the round over. Remember, this pocket was an 1/8 of an inch deep. So let's recalculate that round over. And also, another mistake I just noticed, my number was a positive. When I hit the minus sign, it didn't take. Negative number. There we go. Now let's preview that visible toolpath. And that would be what that round over looks like. You can see that. Right? So, the question is, included or not included? I've never done the round over on the inside pocket. It's an option and everything. I've never done that. Now, I've sanded it to break the edges ever so slightly, but not a full 1/8 inch round over or anything. But doesn't look too shabby, you know. So that's an option, right? So there's our cribbage board, ladies and gentlemen. There's our cribbage board. Yep. Now, I am not going to go any further tonight. 10:30 is long enough from 7:30. That's too long. But everybody has a life. They have their Friday night parties and their Saturday night events and all that stuff and everything. So it's kind of hard to do it on the weekends and stuff. But I really want to do the Euchre box, the Euchre board and the box and everything. Basically, it was going to be a nice little box for the cards and the pegs. Nice little box. But the top lid was going to be the Euchre scoreboard. It was going to have some nice, it's all a single-sided job. There was no two-sidedness to it or anything. That's a lie. There were magnets, so there was a two-sided job aspect to it on the lid of the box. But the this took a long time, and I apologize. I wanted to get to the Euchre one, but we could do the Euchre one this coming Tuesday, or we could do it this tomorrow night. Do whatever, because you guys, you don't have to be live, right? You can just watch it when the class is out. I can just do it live, and if y'all can pop in, great. If you can't, not you can catch it later, kind of thing. But I would like to show you the Euchre board, because Euchre is kind of my thing, and everything. An emulation, just to give you a general idea what a Euchre board kind of looks like for those of you that have never played. Let's see here. Downloads. Euchre. Okay. So very simple. Very simple. Now, the aspect I liked on this was actually the curved edges. I want the box. The box is going to be just shallow enough. It's going to be really, it's really going to be just a pocket cut in a 3/4 inch board. We're not going to have to glue anything up or any of that stuff or anything crazy. It's just a very thin box. You'll see. But I like the aspect of that nice curve. I like the nice subtle radius on the top and the bottom. I like the radius of the corners, and I like the subtle curve of this particular sample. Now, this is not what we're doing. Very, very similar, because you have your games one area. You have the trump, what card or what suit is the trump card, for that particular play. And then you have your 1 through 10. Now we're going to have a divider line with 5 points and then another 5, for 10. And when somebody wins 10 hands, they count everything up and then they win that game, right? The one with the most points, blah, blah, blah. So it's very simple and all, but I'm going to have a nice decorative carve, kind of in the corners and everything. And I want the decorative carve the flow of this and everything, it's gonna flow with the radiuses that we choose and all that stuff. So I'd like to make that box. I would like to make that project. It's not going to take very long. So what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on? Yeah, I can always watch the replays, you know, and everything. So yeah. So Fred, whoever's traveling, safe travels, right? At a truck stop watching this tonight. Cool. Well, hopefully you get some rest, Fred, before you get back on the road. But put a slot on the back and hang that work of art on a wall, Rodney says. Thanks, Rodney. That's true, right? But he's not talking about this particular Trump. He's not talking the Euchre image. He's talking about the deer image, right? But you could, right? You could have keyholes. You could hang it on there, and it comes off and sits on the table for the game night or whatever. But I would embellish it a little bit more. That deer lid, I'd want to carve something else in there. I don't know what though, but it would actually be carved down, not a 3D, you know, and all. A nice deer scene would be a really nice across the whole lid, you know, or something, or a fishing scene. Or I'm sorry, I'm a little bit of a redneck, you know, thinking out here in the woods and stuff where I live or the country, and also it's fishing, hunting. But there's all kinds of 3D models of different things you can use, elegant and stuff and all. But I really want to make this Euchre box. I like this sample image. I wanted to show this sample image just to give you all a visual idea. It's a very simple scoreboard on here, and there's going to be some changes to it and everything for sure. But it's going to be a box, so where there's going to be a lid. They're going to be magnet, so they'll have the box closed, you know, where they're keeping score and all that. But then when you open the lid, you put your games and your pegs in there, and it's going to be just a very narrow box with kind of a magnetic lid and all that. So I think I'm gonna actually just do that tomorrow. No, I'm sorry, that's a lie. Hold on, let me look at my calendar. I can't do it tomorrow. I've got a training class from 6 to 8. So Saturday evening, my Saturday evening, you guys don't have, you have lives and all, and you do your Saturday stuff. But Saturday evening, I'll probably have another live event, only about an hour long or whatever, doing the Euchre box, because we won't have another class till, you know, the following Tuesday, not this coming Tuesday and all that. So I'd like to have both of these done, part 1 and part 2, because this one ran a little long. So Saturday night, 7:15, I'll do the Euchre box, and if any of you can make it, great. If not, catch it on the replay, right? Because the videos are there. All right, everybody. Yeah, and of course, my videos are always going to be replay for someone because they're long. For you guys and girls that hang out with me, I have no idea if you're watching me on a big screen, on your computer, on your phone, or whatever for these 3 hours that we're together. But man, you're troopers. I love each and every one of you for hanging out with me and supporting me and everything in the ways that you do. You know, just coming and watching my videos is great. And then you super chatters and all that stuff, that helps out tremendous. I appreciate that a lot. But every one of you just hanging out with me just makes it worthwhile of doing this and everything. But so you're all troopers. I appreciate you a lot. And hopefully you learned something from these long classes besides how to sleep, right? Hopefully I don't put you to sleep. All right, everybody. We're going to, let me close out of this and let's go back to our Vectric screen here, right? So there is our kind of our base of our cribbage board. I wish I could put the lid on the base. I wish I could put sheet 1 on top of sheet 2. But there you go. And if you're interested, I'll clean up all the files and I'll make the files available for download for free on in the video chat section. By the way, speaking of that, last announcement, for those of you who watched the metal inlay class, for the little journal, those files, I need to upload my files to make them ready for you. I have not done that yet because somebody in the comments, I don't know who it is, I don't know if you're watching, but someone in the comments said I would make the layers interlocking, so when I'm gluing, this is a comment they said, so that when you're gluing those 3 layers together, that bottom, that accent ring, and then the top, you know, before the lid, when you're gluing that little round box together that we created for that metal inlay, someone made the comment of making it interlockable so that pieces don't slide around when you're gluing it together, right? And it was a great idea. So I redrew the vectors based off of that, and I ended up having to go do the Atlanta show and all, but I haven't cut that yet. As soon as I verify, this weekend I got a couple of projects that I want to do, the wasteboard in that box, the inlay box. As soon as I verify the vectors are good and all, I will put that up for download as well too. And they will be interlocking rings. There's going to be some two-sided work and stuff, so you'll get to learn that and everything, but you'll have all the files and some instruction. So if you're wondering where those files went to or why they weren't uploaded yet, because I had to make some slight changes based on a comment. I thought I agreed with the comment, and I'll have them hopefully this weekend. These files, I'll clean them up. They'll be ready for download by this weekend as well too. Give me till tomorrow's completely booked solid. Give me till Saturday, and I'll have all the files in the description of the video that you can come back and download, so you have all the project files and vectors and stuff. All right, Jim, thank you very much. I appreciate you, Jim G. All right, man, thank you. All right, appreciate that super chat. So each and every one of you, thank you very much. Y'all have a wonderful day, a wonderful evening, and thanks for hanging out with me. Laney, are those files in the video description? Fred, you're killing me, brother. You're killing me. No, they're not in the video description yet. They will be in the video description by no later than Saturday. That's what am I not talking clear? They're not ready yet. So I got to clean them up. What I got to do, Fred, is after each class, I go through and I redo all the tool paths as far as their names, and I organize them and stuff and clean them up. Make sure they're all good, so if someone tried to run them, they wouldn't screw up something, right? And then I make the files downloadable in the video description. Not all classes have video file downloads. Some of them do. So, Fred, it's going to take me, I've got the last class, which was the jewelry metal inlay box. Last class and this class, the files should be in the description by Saturday. Should be in the description by Saturday afternoon. I'll be working on them, cleaning them up, but they're not ready yet. All right, everybody. Until next time. Hey, Windsor, Ontario. Thanks for coming by, Camille. But unfortunately, you're catching us right as we're saying our goodbyes. Everybody, thank you very much. Thanks for all the super chats, you guys and girls. I appreciate you. Appreciate every one of you. And you have a wonderful day. Until next time, I'll see you soon.